All right, there we go. Okay, we're live. Great, 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 great. Let me see. I see some people are already joining the chat.
All
And
right.
all right, so we've got Scott McCullough here. He's got a project coming up called Doorkickers, and it looks pretty cool. And hey, Scott, welcome to the
Hey,
show. How are you doing?
Antonio, I'm doing awesome. Thanks for having me.
Not a problem, sir. So you sent me a little preview of the comic, and it looked pretty cool. Um, go into your background. Tell me why you like comics. What made you want to create this book? All that good stuff.
Yeah, man, I'll go all the way back to the beginning. For me, comics started actually, I was in the hospital in the third grade, and somebody brought me two comics. One was an issue of G.I. Joe, and another was Team America. And, Team America was cool too, but the G.I. Joe is the one I fell in love with. And I was just hooked because I was already playing with the toys, and I didn't even know there was a comic at the time. So I got hooked in, and then shortly thereafter, I fell in love with the X-Men.
Mm.
This would have been about the 90, or actually, I'm sorry, 81, 80, 80, I think. And man, it just sucked me in. And every time I was able to get $10, I'd ask my parents if I could get a new subscription because I didn't live anywhere near a comic book store. And back in the day, you either got them off the spinner rack at the five and dime, or you got a subscription. I mean,
Oh
I don't know.
man, yeah. That's old. I mean, all those. I still got a bunch of old comics from like 81, 82 or whatever. And you go into the like the back pages, and they have those. Now only 35 cents. Get a
That's
that kind of
That's
subscription.
right. I want to say like the subscriptions back then were like $7, maybe $5, something like that. I mean, something that like a kid could like put that kind of scratch together, and then you've got a year's worth of comics. And it was just like, are you kidding me? Yeah. Sign up. Where do I sign up? So I was, I think by the time I was in fifth grade, I was getting, four books a month, and that was kind of big. That was a big deal back then, 4 books a month, through subscription. And the mail service worked back then. The comics were generally in pretty good shape. I mean,
All right. Okay. Hold on. So let me see. We got a little. I guess we got a little confusion in the chat. So let me
yeah,
let
it's,
me
it's not Doom Kickers.
yeah. Doom Kickers is Doug and Elliot's project. This is Door Kickers. It's like, yeah, that is. But apparently, Brian the Observer says can't wait for Door Kickers to go live. I hope he's talking about your. I hope he's not thinking you're Elliot.
No, no. Brian's a good dude. He's
Oh, okay, good.
yeah,
So,
he's got a channel. I actually did his channel like a week back or so. So yeah,
okay.
I'm trying to make the rounds, get to know people, so tamp down some of this confusion.
Oh man, because but I gotta be honest. That's the first I was like, I can see where someone might get confused by that though, because I've been knowing about Doom Kickers for a
Well,
while. So
and there's another one. There's another book that has a very similar name too, but it's like Doom Kickers is one letter off. That's you don't get any more similar than that. But yeah, it's bad luck.
well, I mean, everything I've been seeing some of the preview stuff that Elliot. I don't think anyone will confuse the two projects because
That's right.
yeah, Elliot, the stuff Elliot's, the stuff he's shown publicly and the stuff that I've seen privately have been fantastic. So, so, hey. But, but that's funny though. But okay, so, I definitely, so you actually were getting the Marvel subscriptions.
Oh yeah, back in the day, yeah.
First person I talked to has actually done that because I used to always see that they had the little you actually cut it out of the little coupon, you clip it out
Yeah.
of the book, and I guess
Well,
mail it back.
so like when I first started reading comics, I didn't know that you don't cut it out of the back. You let your dad take it to work so he can Xerox copy it, that page, so you don't ruin your comic. So I'm just cutting it right out of the back of the comic. So like I've got at least, I've got one comic that's like, let me just say, if it were in better shape, it would be worth some money. But in addition to all the problems from having been read 100 times when I was a kid, it also has the subscription things cut out. But it's it's like a $50 comic if it was in mint condition.
Which one is it?
Oh, I can't remember exactly which one it was, but I saw it a couple years ago, and I was just kind of lamenting, going through all my original comics, the ones that I never got rid of, the ones that, I either got on the spitter rack or I got them in the subscription. And, when we didn't have media back then, so you read your comics, you read them all, and then you'd go back and you read them all again. And, oh, I like this picture. I'm going to try to draw this picture. So I can't draw. So I'm going to trace it, so then you're tracing or you're writing on top of the, whatever. It's just, as a kid, you didn't give a rip about, the condition of the comic. You just love the story. You love the art. So.
Well, my old comic shop, they sold, they had a couple of old comics that they were selling, at a reduced price, where someone had like clipped the coupon out the back or something, and I was
right.
Every now, but they of course, like I said, marked it down because someone had taken the coupon out or whatever. But it was I used to love seeing that stuff when I was younger, when I would go to the comic book shops and everything. So
yeah, right. Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, it's just, we didn't, as kids, we just didn't know what we were doing, So
it was like that. I don't know, but man, I loved like old school comic art. I loved just seeing all So you said X-Men and stuff. Or what else? What else?
Yeah. I mean, so like I was a Marvel guy. I was not a DC guy. Like, I think I got some, from either some family members or somebody, like a stack of DC comics. And this is after I've been reading like G.I. Joe, and I got into the X-Men. And so I was reading some stuff, and I read these DC comics, and I was just like, what is this? This doesn't make any sense. Where's this isn't fun. So like I was completely not a DC Comics fan as a kid. So, it was, I was definitely the make mine Marvel kind of kid.
Yeah, I was a Marvel guy. I was like, I was definitely a Marvel guy when I was younger. So
and it branched out from X-Men, the Avengers. I liked ROM. I liked Micronauts. What else? Yeah, Moon Knight was really cool, I thought. I didn't get into Daredevil until later. It was just, but it was a lot of the, I had a subscription to Captain America for a while. Iron Man I got into. So it was, a lot of the, the Avengers were, with the X-Men, most of those stories happened either in the X-Men comic, or maybe New Mutants, came along a little later. But with the Avengers, it's kind of like, okay, you got the Avengers, but then you got a Captain America comic, and Iron Man's got his own comic, and the Hulk's got his own comic. So there was a whole, if you like the Avengers, then if you had a favorite Avengers, very easy to kind of go and buy that book as well. So, there was a little branching out when I started getting into the Avengers.
So who are your favorite creators?
Oh man, I mean, my favorite writers, so these are the guys that I go back and I read now, and I'm not reading because I want to, live in nostalgia and the stories. I want to see how they did what they did, because, the feeling I got from those stories, I can understand where that's coming from now. So it's the guys, you know, like Chris Claremont, Larry Hama, Jim Starlin. You know, like Dreadstar was one I kind of got into later. I got into a lot of the epic comic stuff in the mid '80s. By the time I got to middle school, you know, I didn't tell my parents that, you know, there were like titties and shit like that in there. So, you know, they had no clue. It was kind of like, you know, I was like, I felt like I was getting over, but, you know, and, you know, they were more violent. You know, I don't know how much of the epic stuff you read, but like, you know, I got exposed. I got through that. I got exposed to, Conan too was another big one I liked.
Oh yeah.
I liked. I didn't at the time. It wasn't until like I was in middle school, but I had missed out, I guess, on most of Walt Simonson's run on Thor. So I went and I was able to get a lot of that in back issues, and then so I liked Thor. I liked West Coast Avengers because I liked Hawkeye. I thought he was kind of like a smart ass. I liked the smart ass Hawkeye to Captain America straight guy. So I kind of, you know, and I thought the Tigger was kind of cool because, you know, here's this chick, you know, in a bikini, you know, fighting crime, but she looks like a tiger, but, you know, she's got a bikini on.
Yeah, see, I'm conflicted about that because they took they took her and it looked like Cheetah from the Wonder Woman comics pretty much just followed suit after that, and they just copied her character because she was always like the kind of half woman, half tiger hybrid or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you know, Cheetah, she was just a woman in a literally in a cat suit with cheetah ears and stuff. And then they go, oh no, now she, you know. So I was like, wait a minute. So Marvel had that way before, and I mean, the character of Cheetah is an older character, but they always just had her in a cat suit.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, and so I mean, but you know what's funny is I didn't know about that until a lot later, though, because like I said, I just didn't follow the DC stuff. You know, I didn't.
I mean, yeah, but like if you watch Super Friends or any of that stuff, I was like,
oh, that's right, Super Friends. That was so. What's kind of funny is that when did Super Friends come out? Late '70s, right? That's when it came out.
Yeah, Super Friends, the Super Friends.
That's right. So, like, before I started reading Marvel comics, I actually was watching the Super Friends, you know, and then also, now that I think about it, I also watched those, you know, from the '70s, the Marvel comic cartoon shows, you know, like the Spider-Man, you know, you know what I mean, late
Spider-Kid, yeah.
Yeah, that, you know, and then the Iron Man one, there was.
Oh, you talking about the ones? I think they called them the Mighty Marvels, where they pretty much just took all the old Jack Kirby art and did. They did the
like
photo sketching or whatever, where they took his art and like poster boarded it and did like some kind of funky anime. And you got Tony Stark makes you feel he's the coolest man with the heart of steel. Trust me, I watched all those. Yeah.
So I was all over that stuff. So I was aware of these characters. I mean, these guys were like in my subconscious. Fantastic Four, remember the Fantastic Four cartoon that didn't have Johnny Storm? It had that robot.
Yeah, it was Herbie, because
Herbie. That's right.
Yeah, you know why they did that, right?
No, I don't. I have no idea.
Okay. The reason
they didn't want kids to set themselves on fire.
Yeah, that's actually that's
is that it? Oh my god!
They thought having a guy that caught on fire would make a, you know, you never know, television's powerful. Maybe some kid would like take a match or something and go flame on and have an accident, you know, set his shirt on fire or something like, I don't know, because in the 90s when they had the Jackass show on MTV, there were people that started filming themselves. They started putting a disclaimer in front of because you know, I was watching Jackass and people would, you know, they put the disclaimer in front of the MTV shows like please don't send us tapes. If you do, we're not gonna, because at first people were sending them tapes and they were actually airing the tapes. And then someone got really hurt. Someone was trying to do a stunt And
that is so crazy. I mean, I remember that stuff. I mean, hell, we were doing shit like that, at the same time, because I was in college, when that stuff was coming out. And I remember. So what's funny about that Jackass is that I remember they made videotapes, like, and they got circulated in the backs of skate magazines and things like that before it was ever on TV, and it was just crazy.
Mm-hmm. So it's like I remember skate magazines. I don't even know that there's so many. Yeah. They don't even have very many. I'm shocked now when I go to like a store and they don't have as many magazines as a lot of magazines that used to exist when I was younger. They don't even exist anymore. They don't went out of business.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was, because I was a skater too in the 80s. I was a skater and I was a big punk rock kid. And, it was Thrasher magazine. And then all the poser, preppy skater kids, they all read Trans World. Because, I would never be caught dead. I was a Thrasher kid. I was not a Trans World skate because that was just, I would never get caught dead watching that.
But yeah, like I said, I used to love that stuff. I mean, because it wasn't, there wasn't a YouTube then. It was just everything was, if it wasn't on TV, that was pretty much the way it was. So
well, like skate videos were like a big deal. Back in the 80s. I remember like watching Animal Chin. I don't know how much it, like, if you were a skater or not, but man, Animal Chin was like, that blew us away because it was these crazy skater dudes and they were on this adventure and it was funny and it was like, what the hell am I watching? I love it.
So I was like, I had a couple of buddies that were skaters, but it was all Tony Hawk stuff. I remember I went.
Yeah.
And I went to the skate store here with I mean, he was getting, and that shit was so expensive, man. But his family had money and stuff. I live in damn projects, and his family had money, and he, you'd see those custom decks and all that stuff, and I was just like,
yeah,
I didn't understand. That I was like, man, he's showing me the custom trucks or whatever they call it, the little, man, don't get me to try to talk skater terminology because I don't. I thought it was I thought it was called a truck or whatever. The little
wheel. So you got the deck, you got the trucks, and then you got the wheels.
Yeah, because he was showing. I mean, he was rigging these things up. He was rigging these things up like I thought somebody go under the hood of a car and could customize. I didn't realize you could. I was like, it's a plyboard or whatever the hell with some wheels on it, man.
Yeah,
and I didn't understand you could do all this different stuff to hook up your skateboard, and it was expensive.
The funny thing about it is that like there were brands too. It's like, it's like Coke and Pepsi, oh, I would never drink a Pepsi. I'm a Coke guy. So like, I would never ride a Santa Cruz board. I'm a freaking Pal Peralta guy, or I like Alva, cause they're more hardcore or whatever, it's just like, cause you got, your buddies would, nobody like, it wasn't one of those kind of things that, people were, shunned because of the boards they bought, but everybody had their personal preference. And it was very brand, people were like into their brands and stuff. So that was like about the time, I guess this would have been about like 86, 87 is when you started seeing like skateboard fashion clothes come out. Like, so you had Airwalk tennis shoes. Vans had been around for a while, but Vans were cool, but like Airwalks and Vision Streetwear and things like that, that was like that was like, if you got those shoes, you were a cool skater. That was cool. So
See, Jim Create says, remember the WWE had that whole "Don't try this at home" campaign. My friends and I were backyard wrestling at the height of all, and I do remember that. I
Yeah, I
definitely
remember that too.
remember, yeah, because there was, I mean, kids were like picking their little brothers up and pile driving them and doing all kind of stuff. It was just, oh my God, people were really getting hurt trying to, because I really used to believe wrestling was 100% legitimate.
Yeah.
I used
Well,
to, I did not
yeah,
know.
legitimate is a great way to put that.
Yeah. So, because I mean, I don't like when people just shit on wrestling like it's all fake and everything. Because I have a few friends that wrestled. They wrestled in the local promotions here in Tennessee. So, and I'm talking about, they busted their ass for like $25 for the night. It was that,
If you don't mind me asking, where in Tennessee are you from?
I'm in Murfreesboro.
You're in Murfreesboro. All right. Well, so like, you know where Waverly is?
I've heard of Waverly, never been there.
That's where I grew up.
I was like, yeah,
So,
I've definitely heard of Waverly.
Yeah, other side of Nashville. So yeah, and then my mom's family is from just east of Nashville. So
because I'm from Huntsville, Alabama originally. So that's
I spent some time in Huntsville too, actually. Army
born in Huntsville Hospital.
Oh, yeah.
That's but I just love wrestling from an early age. I was a big Hulk Hogan fan.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
I remember how excited I was for WrestleMania 2. I missed out on WrestleMania 1, but WrestleMania 2, like I was like, man, that sounds really cool. And of course I didn't get to see it because that crap's expensive back then. And so you'd only get to see it like on the videotape, and of course my parents would not rent the video, so I would have to like go over to a friend's house, where their dad likes wrestling or whatever, and that's where I'd get to watch it, 3 months after it, 6 months or whatever after it was live. And I remember, I thought that shit was like legit back then.
No, but I will say this. I noticed, depending on what I was watching, the quality of the wrestling. I used to say, oh, that's real wrestling and that's fake wrestling. Like, I called like a lot of the more local, like
more real,
like
more fake.
Yeah, because like I used to watch Nashville wrestling, Music City Wrestling, which was like which I guess they were running everything like out of the Memphis territory. I guess it was like Jerry Lawler and
yeah. No. So those guys were live they were live out of Memphis, right?
Yeah, and they would wrestle at the fairgrounds a couple times.
And they wrestled up in Louisville. So when I moved up to Louisville, in the mid '80s, I was able to watch Jerry Lawler and who else was out of there? Jeff Jarrett and
Jerry Jarrett, Jeff Jarrett's father.
He owned that promotion, didn't he?
Yeah, Mid-South. He had Mid-South Wrestling, and so had reached down into the Memphis territories and all that. But yeah, Mid-South Wrestling, and Jerry Lawler's promotion, and they kind of worked in tandem with it, because I remember like Bill Dundee, right?
He's an Australian guy. Yeah, the short Australian guy. I remember that.
Yeah, Jerry Lawler.
So who were the heels though? I forget who they were out of there, because
it's pretty much like minor league. It was like the minor leagues in like baseball or minor league football or whatever. Because when you look at all the big stars that came through like Mid-South or Memphis wrestling or anything like that, you'd see
they'd turn up on NWA like a year later, or
WWF. Sid Vicious came through there. Sid Vicious, they had him wrestling. Him wrestling.
Bam Bam Bigelow came through there too.
Yeah, Bam Bam. Yeah, all those. Yeah. So you would see,
and they would like they would break out the chairs and the boards, and like they would, they'd clear the locker room out, and like they'd have it'd just be a big old brawl at least once almost every weekend. It was, I'm with you, man. I felt like that was way more real feeling, than the WWE was way more kind of produced, but. My favorite WWE show though was always the one with the one on was it Monday night with on the USA Network with Bruno Sammartino and Bobby the Brain Heenan, where they would take they would film the on the road matches, and then they would play the matches from on the road. So that felt like more real to me than like the Saturday show that was way produced and all that.
Because on Saturdays they would do Superstars of Wrestling, which I was glued to Superstars. But Raw, they would. That's how Raw used to be. They would tape, like the previous week's match. They'd be like, "We're at Madison Square Garden," and they would take that and they would just take the key matches from that and just throw it up and cut in a bunch of promos promoting whatever. SummerSlam's coming up. They were just starting to do the bigger promotions at that point because they had WrestleMania, and then they started doing SummerSlam, and they started trying to add. Now they obviously do at least one a month. So
yeah. Well, that's the other thing too. Is like back in the WrestleMania 2, WrestleMania 3, WrestleMania 4 days. I mean, that was the only thing they did all year. But with the I can't remember which one was it like SummerSlam was one of the first kind of alternate.
So SummerSlam was the second one they did. It was a Survivor Series because I know they did
Survivor Series. That's right.
Survivor Series.
They started doing SummerSlam, and there was Survivor Series, and then and then the other one that I never got to see live ever, but I saw it and I thought it was more real feeling to me too, was like Starrcade,
I was just going into that because I was like, when WWE bought out WCW, I was surprised they used some of the other promotions because they did they've done the Great American Bash several times. Since buying WCW. Starrcade was WrestleMania in the fall. I'm surprised they never revived Starrcade because I felt like they do WrestleMania at the beginning of the year. They should still do Starrcade in like October and November. I would anyway. That's just my thinking of it. But they already have, and they also start doing that Halloween Havoc. I think they would do Halloween Havoc in October, and then November Starrcade.
Now, I think you're right. That was what, a late '80s then when they started doing that though.
Yeah.
I just remember because they did crazy shit at Starrcade, and because I like the whole Four Horsemen. Those guys were great heels, and Ric Flair and the Road Warriors, and there were a couple of tag teams that were, perennially out of there.
I like Doom. Yeah, Doom with what's that Butch Reed and what's the man from the Acolytes or whatever, the APA. Ron Simmons, that's him. Yeah. Damn. Doom with was it Sherry Martel as the manager, or was it?
They wore the masks, right?
They did at first, and then they went without the mask. So at first but they did they had masks at first, and then they unmasked. But I remember
tell you what, Ron Simmons, man, I don't know. I assume he's still around, but I mean, because he's an old dude. But man, he was like one of those guys that he just never went away. I really liked him. He was never one of my favorites, but he was always like, you knew you were going to see a cool match with him.
Well, see, and that's the thing, because Ron has done a bunch of interviews, because unfortunately, I wish Ron would have had opportunity in this current age of wrestling, because he talked about that, he should have been, even when they gave him the belt finally, they took it off of him immediately, because NWA Wrestling, a Southern promotion, and they got a lot of backlash because they had a black champion.
Yeah,
You know, and it was like 20 years too early. You know what I'm saying? That people, you know, it was a heavily Southern, you know, they're wrestling in North Carolina and Georgia and everything. And they was like, they don't want to see black guy as the champ.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but you know, it's really interesting. I mean, the politics, you know, the behind the scene politics. I mean, yeah, of course, we had no clue about that stuff back then, but you know, finding out about that stuff, you know, like with Jerry Lawler, there was a lot of politics with him, like, you know, you're never going to be the champ and all this kind of stuff with it. Was it AWA?
Yeah, he was Vern Gonia.
Yeah,
AWA,
I mean, just finding out all that kind of the stuff that goes on behind the scenes is, you know, it's kind of fascinating.
Well, you know, and that's the thing. I didn't understand about what Ric Flair was talking about, that you had to, like, when you were the champ in NWA, or I guess when they transitioned into WCW, you had to give them $25,000 to hold the belt.
Mm.
You had to give them a $25,000 deposit. So, you know, that, you know, in order for them to trust you with the championship. So when they made you the champ, 25 G's, and then obviously you had the belt. That's how, if you ever watch, and I think there's a more edited version on the WWE Network, but the original Rise and Fall of WCW documentary that they put together, which was fantastic. I was like, had so much information. I wonder if, because like I said, I watched it on the WWE Network, and it looked like they had cut some of the meat out of it. I don't know if maybe they felt like they were too honest in it or something, but I actually have the regular version on my hard drive, because I was just, so I could go back and watch, because I was like, but I was a friend of mine shared his WWE Network subscription with me, and I was watching, and I was like, wait a minute, they cut out some of the better parts of it. What's going on? I don't know if they trimmed it for time or what, but it seemed like they had some really good information, and they were really breaking down the, you know, what happened with WCW, you know, had old archive footage of Ric Flair, you know, where they actually, if you're a wrestling fan, that's why I was like, because I've had girlfriends that I've tried to explain, and they think wrestling is just stupid as shit, and they don't understand it. And you try to explain, you know, the artistry of it, and everything. They just think it's stupid. They don't understand. So,
well, you know, did you watch what I guess it was on Netflix, that TV show Glow?
I couldn't get through it.
You couldn't? I thought it was funny as shit, dude. Because
I don't like that guy Mark Maron.
Oh yeah,
I know he was on it. I don't know. Maybe I'll give it another chance. You're not the first person that told me that was. I used to watch Glow. I watched. They had the guy. They had the one chick, Sally, the farmer's daughter, or whatever, and all that.
Right. And I'll be honest with you. I remember seeing it, but I never watched it because I was like, girls wrestling. Who wants to see that?
That was Stallone's. I think that, what was that? Stallone's mother running that. She was at least the money behind it or whatever.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. But, Sylvester Stallone's mother, and she had a psychic hotline too when all that shit was going on. I was just like, Jesus. I was like, these people are doing anything they can to make money. But
it's part of the hustle, man.
But yeah, I remember the Glorious Ladies of Wrestling. But is that show still going? I know it's the season or whatever that they shot is on Netflix, but I don't. Is it still a currently updated show, or is it canceled?
I think I had heard that it got renewed, but a lot of those times those shows will disappear for like you won't hear about them for a year and a half, and all of a sudden they show back up.
Yeah, it's just like I said, that Mark Maron guy. I've seen he's a huge SJW, and I can't stand when I see him on. So I just don't watch anything that he's on.
Yeah, know what? So I used to kind of feel the same way that you do, like about like because stars. I mean, you get these stars out there, and they just say these stupid things. But you know where I kind of got over that was when so I knew Tom Cruise was a big freaking Scientologist, like crazy Scientologist, right? And you know, as bad as being a big liberal is being a Scientologist is worse, right? So I'm sorry if anybody listening is a Scientologist. You're never gonna make me see eye to eye with that. Anyway, being a Scientologist is worse. And so, like, when I realized that, you know, he is just great in those movies, and when Mission Impossible came out, I was just like, you know what? It doesn't matter that he's crazy. What matters is that he is putting out an amazing product. You know, he's the best at doing whatever it is he's doing. And you know what? I'm going to suspend my opinion of Tom Cruise, the man, and watch the character that he plays on the screen. And you know, that's the only way you get through modern entertainment nowadays.
Well, okay. Let me unpack that though, because that's the thing about Tom Cruise. Yeah, Tom Cruise talks about Scientology and his faith and everything, but I don't see him just going out. It doesn't matter who the president is. I don't see him going out and attacking. You know what I'm saying? I don't.
I'm with you. I mean, I understand.
And Mark Maron, he was a radio host with Janine Garoppolo on Air America, and there is a great documentary that aired. It aired right after George W. Bush won re-election over John Kerry, and the person chronicled pretty much the majority of the campaign and followed a lot of the Air America hosts, and they were so defeated when Bush got re-elected, and I was laughing my ass off.
I think I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, Mark was so obnoxious. He was so obnoxious. And I was like, I can't. It's like, you know, I try to separate the art from the artist sometimes, but if you're just hitting me over the head with the bias, I can't. Yeah, and I see you pop up on something else, I don't watch. I don't support.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I mean, there's certain people that, you know, I just, you know, I don't prefer to support if I can, but usually, like, you know, usually I won't turn away. Like, let's say Matt Damon's another one, you know.
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah, Matt Damon. You know, but that being said, you know, if Matt Damon's in a movie, there's probably a lot of other good people in that movie, and you know, while I may, you know, have to suspend my disbelief to get through a Matt Damon movie.
Yeah, don't watch
usually,
The Wall. That Wall movie was trash.
Oh, I don't think I saw that.
Yeah. You haven't seen that where those fucking dragons come to life? They're in China. They're like two white dudes.
Oh, I heard about that. No, I didn't see that. Well, it's a Chinese propaganda movie.
Oh God, yeah, but that movie. Although I heard it did okay overseas in that market, but because they had some big
Chinese movie, a lot of yeah.
Because everybody was like, "Why they got two white dudes in armor with a bunch of Chinese people?" It was all
right. Was it Marco Polo fights the dragons or something?
Oh God, it was. Yeah, oh man, it was hard to watch. It was hard, and they spent. It's like they probably needed another 20 million on special effects, you know, and it was just, oh man, the movie didn't make any sense to me, and I was like, it just didn't do it for me. But there's other things that, like, I can watch, man. I don't obviously, I get what you're saying, because I can watch Matt's movies, but sometimes I feel like he hits you too much over the head with politics. But like, he did a movie like The Martian, I thought it was brilliant, and I enjoyed it.
Perfect. The Martian is a perfect example. I don't see Matt Damon when I watch that movie. I see that's just a great story. You know,
well, you know, and that's a lot of things with the Brie. You know, a lot of Brie Larson blowback. It's like she's just attacking people, and it doesn't make me want to watch her films.
Yeah,
and you know,
so Brie Larson's a great example, because I I had a hard time watching that movie. So I went to see that movie because my wife informed me that we were going to take our daughters to see it. She said I put up with not going opening weekend. So, it was like 2 weekends later. So we went and saw it. The movie was, it was what it was. Everything that wasn't her was better than she was. I had a hard time just even looking at her because she's just she's like has the personality of a cardboard box.
And or even like Samuel L. Jackson, I definitely don't. He was saying some stuff where he was coming out and like, if you voted for Trump, then fuck you or some shit. And I was just like, wow.
Well, he's been like that for a long time.
Yeah, and I mean, people know they know who Samuel and he's safe there because a lot of Hollywood people are liberals. So
but you know what, Samuel Jackson, he's got talent.
Oh,
So
yeah.
when a guy like Samuel L. Jackson, I've been watching in movies for 25 years, or when he says something like that, I'm like, whatever. Everybody's got their opinion, but man, you got some talent, brother. But with her, it's like, why are you here? Why, I mean, if she put in the work and then, and she was like a staple in the, in the blockbuster realm, and then, started kind of flexing a little bit after she kind of earned her way to the top, that would be one thing. But she is like, the old adage of diversity hires. She was a diversity hire. Because they needed some crazy liberal to shill their stuff, and I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get myself in trouble talking about that kind of stuff.
Well, I mean, yeah, no, that's the thing. I'm not gonna be shocked that a Hollywood liberal is liberal.
Surprise, surprise.
That's like going to a whorehouse and finding pussy. It's just not something that you shouldn't be shocked when you see stuff like that. But I don't know, man. She's just so toxic, and that's why a lot of that stuff that over the last week or so, where they're showing the clips of like, her doing the cast interviews and like,
Chris I thought that was hilarious.
Oh my God, you could tell he's like, get this bitch away from me. I cannot stand this bitch. And I'm like, I was like, hey, you're the new guy here. Don't be so obnoxious, man.
Yeah, well, so the funny thing is, it goes back to that old saying, like, the new guy comes up to you because he trusts you and says, "Hey, why is everybody picking on me?" Like, listen, dude, don't worry about it. If they're picking on you, then you're doing right. You're doing everything right. Start worrying if they stop picking on you. And so, like, that's her getting all up in arms about, just going through the new guy kind of thing, and it just shows how stupid she is.
Yeah, and I was like I said, man, yeah, that's but I see people like, oh, she can't even act. And I was like, well, she's got an Oscar. So I was like, see, I've seen her and stuff, and I know she can act in serious roles. I've seen a few of her, and she was on a TV show that I used to watch as well. So I was like, yeah, I didn't. I thought it was funny when people found that video of her. I didn't know she had tried to be like a pop singer, and there's a video on YouTube, and I guess she was like 19 or something. And I was like, wow, she tried to be a pop singer. And, it was, and I mean like popcorn pop. It was,
Wasn't she like a Disney, like Disney stuff back in like in her teen years?
She was on something. I thought, hell, everybody.
Something like that.
Disney just cranks them out though. That's what it just seems like. Disney they got like a child factory or something, which is kind of, if you ever watched that documentary in Open Secret, that where they were talking about all those weirdos in Hollywood, and Bryan Singer's name came up. It was just Bryan's, talking about, they were having these hot tub parties with these young underage men, and And the one, oh man, I was like freaking out when I was watching it because they talked about the kid that played. I'm trying to think, he played Pyro in the first X-Men movie, and he was one of the guys that, yeah, apparently he got in the hot tub. So I was just like, oh god, man.
Yeah, there's a lot of, so I've heard some really cringy stories come out of Hollywood. Yeah, I've got a bunch of friends that work there, and like about 80% of them are like total undercover, Republicans in Hollywood. And just some of the stories that they tell me, I'm just like, are you kidding me? People are doing that? And they're like, yeah, I mean, it's like a thing.
Yeah,
I was like, you don't know anybody that's doing that stuff. No, I mean, I've never been to these parties, but I mean, clearly people are talking about it. And I'm like, oof.
That whole set, because I mean that the one guy, he had become like the biggest child agent. He was handling the majority, because it was so funny when he started at the beginning. Everything seemed normal because when they were doing the segments with him, because he was like he had like one kid that had some talent. He kind of helped him get a job or something, and he was like, he said, you know what, maybe I could do this as a business, and because there were a bunch of agents that were handling adult actors, and he was like, maybe there's a lot of Hollywood people looking for child talent to put in commercials and put in film and television, and he said maybe I could do that. And he said people were telling him, like, no man, you're not gonna make any money like that, and he stuck to his guns and he started doing it. Next thing you know, he had a bunch of clients and he was making he's making good money, so
wow,
I was like, oh, okay. And then as as he got bigger, he had a big home, obviously, and started talking some of these parents, like they didn't want to necessarily move to, some of them were like, say, Utah or whatever.
Oh, I'll put them up.
Yeah, he was like, yeah, if you want Jimmy to be a working actor, he has to be out here. And I know you don't want to leave Utah yet, but why don't you let Jimmy stay with me? And next thing you know, he's got a whole, and it's like, and then all these Hollywood producers and stuff are coming to his home, and like I said, they start doing the hot tub parties and stuff. And I was just like, oh God, what is this?
Yeah,
like,
I mean, I think people like us, I mean, we're just normal people out in the world, right? And we've got friends of all different stripes, all different colors, everything. We've got diversity in our life, but it's diversity. It's like Tennessee diversity, right? It's like, it's not like this crazy, stuff that you see on both coasts. And I think there's a couple things that draw it. It's power. I think power is most important, right? If you look at the Harvey Weinstein, all that kind of stuff, there's a huge power dynamic, right? The second thing is money, because a lot of people confuse the two together, but no, they're not the same. President may not be rich, but he is powerful. So
now he's rich and powerful.
now he's rich and powerful. Yeah, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe all presidents should be billionaires, because that way that's enough money to basically say F the world.
Because you see when they might have. I haven't seen anybody running for president that didn't have at least $1 million in the bank. But having $1 million now ain't shit compared to like 50 years ago when you had $1 million.
Look at AOC, right? She didn't have 2 dimes to rub together when she started getting into politics.
Yeah.
How fast does it take her to become a millionaire?
Yeah, she's she got book deals and and speaking appearances, and
so that's, now she's definitely a standout, but most of the folks that go to Washington, even if they're not rich when they go, they're pretty damn financially secure when they leave.
Yeah,
and they have opportunities for the rest of their life, essentially. just he's a former senator. Yeah, let's sign him up.
Well, see, yeah, that's that old. There's an old Eddie Murphy movie, The Distinguished Gentleman. I think it's a remake, though. I think it's a remake of an old movie from the 50s or whatever. But there's a movie called The Distinguished Gentleman where he basically is a con artist, and then he somehow finagles his way into a congressional
Oh,
seat.
that's right. That's right. Vote the name you know.
Yeah, Jeff Jones, the
Jeff
name you
Jones.
know. Yeah, I love because there was like a dead white guy named Jeff Johns that was like the congressman, but they were just like, he's dead, but his name's still on the thing. He's like, I can register as him, and they're so used to voting for Jeff Johns that they're gonna vote for me. So and it it was close.
Yeah, no,
But
absolutely. I remember that was, man, that's so funny. Definitely you. I like the fact that you get all the same references that I get. I mean, because we've got enough background and our ages are similar to where we get the same culture reference. No, but getting back to the whole idea of so like and the old quote, power corrupts ultimately,
and
or
absolute power
and
corrupts absolutely.
absolutely right. So it's like when you put these people in these concentrated areas, Hollywood, Los Angeles, New York City, Washington, D.C., they are essentially at the center of the world for their industries, and have essentially unlimited money, and they have unlimited popularity and unlimited everything, and nobody wants to say no. And that's where corruption begins. And it's not just corruption like, oh, I'll take money for something. It's like moral corruption. And I think you're seeing that moral corruption, become, spread through the internet, and there are, if you look at school shootings as a good example, I think so. This is just my idea, whatever. I have a degree in art, so what does that mean? But the idea is we had plenty of guns around back in the 70s and the 80s, but how many school shootings did we have? We didn't have any. You know why? Because we didn't have moral corruption in our country. Now we still have guns, but all of a sudden we have all these school shootings. The first big one was Columbine, and there's been several others, and they just kind of started to pick up in the late 90s. And I think there's that's the idea of this moral corruption, and the internet hasn't helped it, I don't think.
Well, you also had, if you recall, there were also a couple of instances where, like, remember when there were a couple instances where the mailman like went crazy and they went and shot up.
Going
yeah, that's where that came from, going postal, and it was just like, oh my god.
Well, so that's the funny thing is that and if you think about it, that kind of makes more sense than a kid doing it. A kid doesn't make sense. But, like a guy who's gone into, a crappy job for 20 years and all of a sudden gets laid off, I mean, that actually kind of makes sense. He's got ready access to guns. He's got a grudge. That's, I hate to say it, but I could understand that.
Well, see, that brings me into more of a Michael Douglas falling down type situation. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's why a lot of people could relate to that movie, because that guy just had a really bad day one day and he just snapped. But I've watched that movie a few times. It's funny that so much of it still resonates today. It's just.
Yeah.
It's like, wow. Like when he goes into the fast food place, or when he goes, there's just so much stuff that was going on. I was like,
I mean, but having watched that movie, how many times have you been in the situation where you're just like, I want to do what he did in that, because I'm just, you're just having a bad day, and you just have to, like, as a little fantasy, the scene, in the fast food restaurant is a great example. Like that kind of goes through your head. And you're just like, oh, that would be so satisfying. And then you're like, all right, thank you for my fries and my burger. And then you just go.
But like you said, I thought that was that movie. Yeah, it's still, you check it out, 20 something years later or whatever, you still go, oh wow, okay. It was, but yeah, he was great in that. Douglas was in his prime then. He was coming
Oh
off
yeah,
of like, yeah, he's coming off like Basic Instinct.
yeah, Fatal Attraction.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just he was just making hit after hit. Oh, don't how did I forget Wall Street? Yeah, Wall
Oh, Wall
Street.
Street. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, he won an Oscar for that. So I was like, yeah, Wall Street, Fatal Attraction, or even going back even further, like Romancing the Stone with.
So
I
that
was
was
like,
a
yeah,
great. Oh, that was a great movie.
yeah. So I mean, he was, yeah. I mean, it's amazing to even think about all that. But yeah, I thought Falling Down, it really, with the license plate that said defense, and I was just man, and that weird haircut, the little crew cut he had and everything. It was just, oh man, I'm surprised nobody's remade that, because that's all they do now. I notice they just take movies and they just remake them now. So
Yeah. That's oh man, that's so. That's kind of sad too. Is that's that kind of maybe creative corruption that we see, that that they just redo the same stuff. And they used to say, oh well, no, there's no new stories. All the stories have been told, but it's just all about putting a new shine on the story, right? But now they're even they're not putting a new shine on it. They just want to take. All right, well, so we're going to take that. And instead of making a new movie with that idea, we're just going to redo that idea and use the same name. And, we'll have a new hot star come in and play the role. And, like, we're going to remember Ghostbusters, how awesome that was. Let's make all women. Women
God.
Ghostbusters.
That was, and here's the thing. That movie was straight dog shit. It was horrible.
I refused to watch it. I
watched.
I've got two daughters, and I wouldn't inflict that on them to save their lives.
They put Chris Hemsworth in. I'm sitting there. I was like, oh, Chris Hemsworth. And I understand, because he really didn't get paid very much for the first Thor. Although like I think he got like $200,000 to do the movie, and then they gave him back in, so he ended up getting about a total of $2 million, because the movie did a couple $100 million. So,
yeah.
So,
the game. That's another one.
Yeah, the game.
Yeah, that was great.
That was a great. Well, Sean Penn was in that too, if I'm yeah. So
yeah. Who did the game? Was that the same guy who did the director? Is who I'm thinking of. Is that the same
man.
As the Brad Pitt, and oh, I'm sorry.
Now I gotta do some investigating. I'm like, I gotta do some.
And Alien 3, is that the same guy? I think it is. The director.
Let's see. Well, you talking about David?
Not David Lynch.
I'm saying David Cronenberg or whatever.
No, not Cronenberg.
David Fincher.
David Fincher. Isn't that who did it?
I was like, it might be, because that's what the chat is saying. So let me. I am confirming. Let's see.
Yeah, David Fincher ? Yeah, Usual Suspects was good too.
Yeah, because okay, yeah, it is David Fincher. That is David Fincher. All right, the chat from downtown. All right, okay. This is Jan Creates. I love The Usual Suspects also, although watching it now with all the Kevin Spacey stuff. Well, watching it now and knowing that Bryan Singer, the director, is a fucking perv as well.
Yeah. Just imagine the parties that were going on in Kevin Spacey.
Yeah, stuff. Jesus, it was like pedo fest in that movie. I'm like, there's a lot of guys that have been Me Too, because even I remember Gabriel Byrne's in that movie, and I remember his ex-wife said he did some stuff, but it was more about being like a philanderer or something, or being abusive and stuff. But Kevin Spacey with even at like 28, 29, the one what's the guy, the one kid that was in Rent, and he's on Star Trek Discovery now, and talking about, you know, Kevin's wanting to like rape him at like 14 years old and stuff. I was like, Jesus, man. Ugh.
Have you been watching Star Trek Discovery?
I watched every episode of the first season. Now that the second season has wrapped up, I'm going to go back and I'm going to binge watch it. If it's terrible, I'm going to fucking roast it because I have heard some things. Yeah, I know I was seeing some of the YouTube videos and there's apparently some cringe in there.
Yeah, I still haven't dipped my toe in that pool yet.
I thought the first season was okay. They obviously inserted some social justice in there. But you know, they have a lawsuit going because there's this guy with an online game, and it looks like they stole his idea for the little time traveling creature, that little weird creature, the spores.
I don't know. I haven't seen it.
There's he's got they have a new type of warp technology, which that kind of pissed me off that they had the idea for brand new warp technology, and it's like 200 years before Star Trek: The Next Generation is set.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, you know, it's set even before James T. Kirk is the captain of the Enterprise. So you've got a new theoretical warp drive that uses some kind of tachyon spores or whatever the hell. And it was the tardigrade. Okay, yeah, is the for Google too, the warp mushroom tardigrade. Yeah, the tardigrade, that guy suing them. It sounded like they tried to settle it and he didn't want to settle for what they didn't offer him that much, and he's like, no, fuck that, I'm not settling. So they're actually going to try to fight this thing now, because and the thing is, they could probably just wait him out because they got so much money. Because it sounds like they tried to settle. I've followed his posts a few times. He's put up a blog post to let everybody know what's going on with the lawsuit. They tried to have the case just dismissed a few times, and the judge was like, "No, you look like y'all bitches stole his shit." And then so they didn't throw it out like CBS wanted them to.
Yeah,
but they have so much money.
That's that's just that's the kind of thing that really pisses me off. Because these corporations a lot of times. And I don't know. It's not the corporations; it's the people. And once they get kind of ensconced in these corporations, they have that kind of fuck you money. That coming with a big media company gives you. They do these things, and they think they can get away with it, and they're just crazy because I just don't know what they're thinking.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. It's like they're obviously, I understood that. Because some people, when I've been on these like Trek forums and stuff, some people want them to take, okay, so the show, as I said, it was set before Kirk was the captain of the Enterprise, but it's set after the Jonathan Archer Enterprise, so it's set during the Captain Pike.
So like the Cage time frame.
Yeah. So, this whole season had Captain Pike on it, which it was that guy Anson Mount. I probably got his name wrong. The guy that was on the Inhuman show that was horrible. I watched that Inhuman show. It was so bad. I could not believe that. Yeah, he had got casted as Captain Pike, and there's an online petition of people trying to have them because he's already came out and said he's not going to be on next season. Because it looks like some of the press photos I saw that they're actually going to do that storyline where the second pilot of the Enterprise, where they send him to that, he's in a wheelchair. And he's been badly burned or whatever, and it's and then he goes with the mind, the creatures that with the enhanced telepathy or mental abilities, they can cast all those illusions and everything, and so all of a sudden he can walk and everything. It's like, woo, I can walk again. But it looked like they were doing a version of that. I'm interested in seeing it, but again, some of the criticisms I saw from the first season was that they want them to have, they want the technology to have all of a sudden have this retro look again, even though they want the old, like, so they want them to do this, the Enterprise, but have it look like it looked on the old 60s show. And that just doesn't make sense to me. If I'm and even because when they did that on Enterprise, it looked weird to me when they actually tried to make an Enterprise model that looked like that old Enterprise, and it clearly looks outdated compared to their version of the Enterprise.
Right. Well, it's kind of like if you're going to do that, you got to do it either like. So, do you remember the Deep Space Nine episode where they go back in time and they're actually in the trouble with tribbles?
The trouble, yeah. I actually, that's a funny episode. I enjoyed that one. Some people don't like it, but I loved it. Yeah, it was a great episode.
and they did a great job of being consistent with, like, everything looked the way it did. It's like, oh, well, why do the Klingons look like that? Oh, well, we don't talk about that. I mean, that was. I mean, honestly, I like that kind of explanation better than trying to come up with this whole, there's what was it? I heard there's some kind of disease or something.
Yeah, well, they did that on Enterprise. Now, here's the thing: they should have never made Enterprise. A lot of people don't want to hear that, but there's a reason they ended up canceling Enterprise. It was the first time they didn't let a Star Trek show run 7 seasons in this new era. They were like, let's get this shit out of here because it's not working. So they, the fact that they canceled it after 4 and all the other shows ran 7 years, that's telling. But they here's the things they accomplished by creating Jonathan Archer. They shit on Kirk's legacy because you basically have James T. Kirk is pretty much the greatest Star Trek captain up until Picard took the helm of the Enterprise. So you had James T. Kirk, and then because a lot of people really didn't know Captain Pike outside of those two. They've aired, like, if you bought any of the Star Trek box sets, they have the unaired pilot with James Pike in it. Yeah. And then they take footage of Pike and they put him in makeup and he appears in the new pilot where, it's the same, it's pretty much the same episode, but then they just like cut stuff in and then you say, oh, okay. So that's how they work out, and yeah, so apparently, like, it's 20 years later or whatever, because Spock is different in that unaired pilot. He's got
right. He's got his hair's different, and
he just looks weird, and he's like, and he's actually has emotions and stuff. And it just seems weird. He doesn't seem like Captain. That is illogical. That portrayal of Spock is so different. So it's not. So I understand when you look at the updated pilot versus the old one, it's just not very good. So, but then to go back, because everybody was like, well, Kirk was the first captain, because like Kirk was the first captain of the Enterprise, and then they've even gone back and it's like, well, Captain Pike was actually the captain of the Enterprise for like 12 years before Kirk came in. But so by them doing Enterprise and saying that James Archer was actually the first cap, but they say, oh, well, here's how we can get away with it, because the Federation, he's the first captain of the Enterprise in the Federation era.
That's right, because the Federation hadn't. I never watched the Enterprise. And
that's why I'm saying when they start finagling like that, when they start going, okay, well, this is how we can get away with it. Technically, we're not changing anything because the Federation doesn't exist. This is still the Enterprise, but it's not the Federation Enterprise. It's just some ship from Starfleet or whatever.
Jam in the chat says, what do you guys think the Picard show will be like? I don't know, but I'm interested to see what it is.
What? Okay. Well, the fact that they actually got Patrick Stewart, I'm willing to watch it. And Jonathan Frakes is going to be directing several episodes. So I'm excited to see that.
Right. I hate to say it, but I feel like Frakes is has a better, idea of what Star Trek should be like, just because he did such a great job. I thought he did some of the movies, and
he directed 2 of them at least.
Yeah.
The one with the Borg, That was fantastic.
Oh yeah. That was definitely the high water part, high water mark of the
what was that, First Contact, I think? So yeah, that was great. That was
yeah, it
fucking
was
great. Yeah, it was like I just watched that the other day. I just like but he also directed, I thought he directed Nemesis as well. And it's weird to go back and watch that because Tom Hardy's such a big star now. And
That's right.
Tom Hardy played Shinzu. And I was sitting there going, holy shit, that's Tom Hardy. And I was sitting there watching. Tom Hardy's a brilliant actor. I've watched him on a bunch of like British. He's on Peaky Blinders and stuff. I was like, man, he's brilliant.
Yeah,
and
awesome.
Loved him as Bane. Dark Knight Rises, brilliant in that. He was in Inception. Just brilliant actor. It is just, but yeah, Nemesis has some problems. It has some problems.
Oh sure, that's the one where like they're on the they have to disobey Federation orders to help that planet, right? Is that?
Oh no, that's damn, that movie way, because that was F. Murray Abraham is the villain in that one. I remember.
Yeah, that's right.
But what's the man? I can't even remember the name of that one, man.
I know.
Picard's thirst trapping for that chick that's like 500 years old and shit. It was like trying to get him some ass from this 500-year-old alien shit. Let me see. Jan Crates, I actually like Nemesis. I really wanted to see what happened after the events of that movie, since the entire Romulan government was blown up. That's true, but man, it had some problems.
I remember Nemesis now. Yeah.
Okay, so that was Star Trek Insurrection. Insurrection's actually not horrible.
Yeah.
But, they were kind of.
So Insurrection felt to me like episodes of the Next Generation, TV show.
Yeah. It's one of those two-parters. It's one of those two-part episodes. That's what.
And I'll be honest with you, like Best of Both Worlds and some of those other classic two-part episodes are better than that. So I mean,
Best of Both Worlds is incredible. Unification. I loved Unification with Leonard Nimoy.
Oh yeah, that was really good. And then the one, there are a lot of great like single episodes. What's the two-part episode? I'm gonna have to get my Google tool out here.
Because like Chain of Command, I thought Chain of Command, that was the two-parter with what's the guy from he was in Deliverance, and he played Captain Jellicoe.
Yeah.
And then you had the British actor David something. He played the Kardashian interrogator, and him and Picard together. I think they had been on in the Royal Shakespearean Theater together. They were brilliant together. I was just, oh my God. Chain of Command Part 2, where Picard's, they got Picard, like he's trying to get Picard to see 5 lights when there's only 4 and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. No, that was great when he was captured. Oh, that was really good. Yeah.
Oh my God, it was brilliant. I just one of the greatest. The stuff with Data and Lore. I thought that stuff is apparently we have some Next Generation fans watching, because there are 5 lights.
Another one that I like a lot is Tapestry.
Tapestry is one of the greatest Star Trek The Next Generation episodes ever. It's also one of the greatest Q episodes ever.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so you had like Q Who, and you had, there were a lot of great Q episodes, but that one, I hate to say it, but the best episodes were the ones where they let Patrick Stewart show us what a badass actor he was.
Just brilliant. And that's why I'm hearing that we might get John Delancey to make a little cameo on the new Picard series, that Q is not quite done with Jean-Luc, because if you noticed, they tried to continue. They knew Next Generation was going off the air, and then we got Deep Space Nine, right? So people weren't watching Deep Space Nine those first 2 seasons.
Right.
And they brought Q in that episode 5 or 6 of Deep Space Nine. He never returned. They was like, yeah, Q doesn't work on Deep Space Nine. It's stupid. So him and Benjamin Sisko, it just didn't work. And then they brought Q on to Voyager, and I think he was there 3 or 4 times.
Yeah,
he appeared on because the first episode that Q was on, I'm trying to remember, there was an episode with I thought they brought Jonathan Frakes on there, and it was that Q wanted to commit suicide. That one Q wanted to.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember that. Oh, what? I don't remember what those. I don't remember any of the net titles for those though.
Yeah, because I think it was like Q Who or something like that. But he wanted to commit suicide. I remember. And then there was the other. It was like I think it was a 2-parter or something. It was where the Q continuum was in like a civil war with each other.
Wait a second, Q Who? That was the one. That was the first appearance of like the Borg, right?
Maybe that one was it. Yeah. Okay. So
I think. Yeah, I think.
But I love that one. I love that one where Q introduced the Enterprise to the Borg, because you end up finding out that even though it looked like Q was a hating ass bitch, that he probably helped them because he
prepared them. Yeah.
Yeah, because he gave him like a 9-month. If he gave him like a 9-month lead to be like up in them weapons and everything.
Right.
So you had 9 months to prepare. If the Borg show up and they don't, and the Federation doesn't have 9 months lead time, wow.
Yeah, they're screwed. Yeah. That was the brilliant thing about the Borg, is they were just so implacable. It's like the Klingons were never. The Klingons were dangerous, but they were dangerous kind of like locally, but not like they were never going to, conquer the entire Federation. But, it's kind of like Afghans, right? In Afghanistan, they're dangerous, but, they're never going to attack America and take it over. Same thing with the Klingons. But, the Borg, man, that's like an existential threat. It really forces you to kind of like dig deep.
Well, see, that's the thing. And then so you had Voyager, being thrust into the Delta Quadrant, where apparently the Borg originate, although now they're trying to say on Discovery, because that was one of the things that I kept seeing was coming up for this second season. They're trying to say that the Borg, maybe the Borg didn't originate in the Delta Quadrant, and they're maybe more man-made and somehow got and I was just like, stop changing shit. The fans don't, it's like, once, because I know some Star Trek fans that are hardcore. Do you understand? They're hardcore.
And they know their shit too.
Yeah, so when you see a show like Discovery and the producers go, you know what? We've had a pretty established look for the Klingons for the last like 30 years. We're going to make the Klingons look different now.
Look totally different. So now it's a third type of Klingon. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, and I saw that. I thought they were just aliens, and people were like, no, those are the Klingons. I said, what the fuck is that? I didn't understand what it was, because I was like, and it was like, well, we were just trying to do something different. And I was like, you're pissing the fans off.
Yeah. It's just
the reason you get a Star Trek show greenlit. It's like, okay, it sounds like from everything that was going on at Star Wars Celebration that what's the guy, John
Favreau?
John Favreau.
Yeah, the Mandalorian.
He's a Star Wars fan, and he's not trying to shit on Star Wars fans with Mandalorian.
Yeah, the Mandalorian looks tight.
Yeah, it looks like he's because what's the guy, Cowboy Dave Filoni or whatever. It sounds like that they worked on it together, and they both actually like Star Wars, and they're not trying to we've got a trans bounty hunter in here and just throwing out, what I'm saying, quit doing all this weirdo. My God, it was just
No, I'm with you. I'm with you on that one because I mean it's just it's like changing for the sake of change. No, you don't. You keep what works and you add to it. And when people don't like something, you say, okay, well, we're gonna a little less from column B and back more to column A. But it's like they don't understand what they're dealing with. So real quick, I want to talk about two more of my favorite because I can't not talk about Star Trek: The Next Generation without talking about like what I think is probably the best episode. Like the acting is the best and the concept is just amazing. And then the second is my favorite episode. It was my favorite episode for so long, and that was Yesterday's Enterprise. That was awesome. I thought at the time.
That's a Tasha Yar return, right?
Yeah.
That's the Enterprise C.
Yeah, you get the battle version of the Next Generation. Like in the middle of the war. I thought that was just such a cool concept. And then it opens up at like they're regular, then all of a sudden it just changes, and their uniforms are different, and you've got like battle lighting and things like that, and you're like, what the hell just happened? Yeah, that was a great. And then the other one, which I think is probably the best, all around the best episode, is Inner Light. That's the one.
Inner Light is, and especially when they play that little flute, that flute music, and all that kind of stuff. I was like, I love that kind of that whatever that pan flute was that he started playing after that. Because he played. There was another episode a little after where he had that new doctor that was on the ship, the new science officer, and he fell in love with her, and she played the little foldable the piano thing, and then he would he found that little section up in the ship where it had the right acoustics or whatever, and it was
that's right. Yeah, that was great. Yeah, that was a kind of a great thing. So I mean, just the concept of living an entire life in a couple brief seconds. I mean, I guess it's the old adage of we're living in a simulation, blah blah blah. Well, he actually lived like a whole life in a simulation in seconds. I mean, but to him, it seemed like it was all real.
Yeah, I was like, that Inner Light. I think they actually won what do they call that science award?
I know what you're talking about.
Because I know George R. R. Martin's won it a few times and stuff. Where it's the little science fiction thing they actually won.
Hugo Award.
Yeah, the Hugo Award. They actually won for that episode, and I was like, the Inner Light is brilliantly written. But if I'm looking, if I'm going to talk favorite Star Trek episodes, and I'm talking any series, Deep Space Nine in the Pale Moonlight.
Oh, that was a good episode. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it's like no, the Saturn Papa Kanisu, the Saturn Awards as well. They give out but the Hugo Awards is something I know. They also like science fiction and fantasy are awarded to that, and I know they had won something like that. But no, in the Pale Moonlight, Star Trek Deep Space Nine is oh my god. I don't know how I feel about a Star Trek officer going to that length. I understand why he did it, but my god, it just brilliantly. And they had once they found their rhythm on Deep Space Nine, they had some of the best episodes. Because a lot of the Next Generation episodes, they would wrap everything up in an hour or maybe 2 episodes at the most. You didn't, with Deep Space Nine, they got story arcs that are going, 12 episodes. They're going handling stuff.
The thing about like that episode is a great example of what Deep Space Nine did right. Like, so that's, if I remember correctly, that's the one where Cisco tricks the Romulans, right?
Yeah, they fake evidence and then they kill somebody. They killed somebody.
Yeah. So that show did such a great job of like the whole Cold War political intrigue, kind of, I mean, special operations, kind of doing stuff behind enemy lines and things like that. That episode just kind of like emphasized all those kind of things, and I just thought, I mean, that was my favorite thing about Deep Space Nine. And it's so funny because I like Deep Space Nine. I hated Babylon 5.
Oh no, I love Babylon 5.
Yeah, I never
Babylon
could get
5.
into it.
Hold up. Hold up. A man in lunacy, you must be trolling. Janeway is the best captain, Voyager. Get the fuck out of here. What are you talking about, bro? Oh my God, I know you trolling. That's some bullshit. I'm like, oh, and I don't hate Captain Janeway, but did you see that? No, did you see that? Hold up. Let's I'm finna roast your ass now. Okay. Did you not see the episode where they turned her and what was it, Tom Paris? They turned them into those fucking lizards and they fucked each other and she had little lizard babies. Did you not see that shit?
I never saw that.
Oh my God, that really fucking happened, dude. You you lost all credibility with me with that. The fact that they aired that shit on television and that you can still go on Netflix and watch that. Those are facts. God. They turned them into like fucking amphibians or some shit. And they fucked each other and had babies. And then they just got back on the Enterprise on the Voyager. Like it wasn't.
Let's pretend that didn't happen.
I was just like, she had lizard babies. And then they just left the lizard babies and went back on the. I was like, I mean, oh my God. Yes. How do you not know? Okay, so that's why I'm man and lose. I know your ass is trolling that. That's why I'm saying, how do you not know that happened? I was sitting. That's why I know you were trolling, because if you watch Voyager, you knew. Oh my God! They went on the island. They went on the planet, were turned into amphibians, mated with each other. They got, they reversed the process, but she had already had the little lizard babies. And then they just left the little lizard babies there. And I'm like, wait a minute. So if you could reverse what was done to them, wouldn't the babies be their babies and they need to have the DNA reversed on them as well? I was like, that shit blew my mind. And
I don't think you could. I think they're just lizards, and you're just kind of like, just call it a.
But both their parents were human. That fucked with me when I saw that, because I was like, because they tried to go, oh well, they'll just live out their normal amphibian lives. I was like, wait a minute, both of their parents were genetically human who were turned into these creatures. They fucked, had babies. So if you can reverse the process and turn them back into Janeway and Paris, then that means the babies should still be able to be human babies then.
You make a logical, that's a logical deduction. I'm not going to make it with you, though. Oh, God. I think they just wanted to, commit genocide against those human lizard hybrids, just to kind of forget it ever happened.
Well, so Amanda and Lucy, she was like 50. How the fuck is she able to have kids? She was like, when they took over that show, she was like 45. But I mean, yeah, she was pushing 50. But again, they did that show. That's a fact that they did that. That I thought that was the weirdest. I said somebody was on some shrooms or LSD. Somebody was high when they did that. Cause I never recovered from that. I said, wait a minute.
That's the degeneracy of Hollywood, making its way in.
Cause they just let the little lizard baby slither off into the swamp. And I was just like, oh man. This is like Voyager got better after Tom Paris died. When did that happen? He finished out the whole show. I mean, I think he died in the episode, but they reversed the time on it or whatever. He made it all the way to, because he had a daughter with the Klingon chick, and if you remember the final episode, it's his daughter is like an undercover for Starfleet, and Admiral Janeway used Paris's daughter and to do this mission to get this whatever time travel thing, whatever they needed to set the time travel matrix up with these shady ass Klingons. And then Janeway paid him. Yeah, Janeway paid him off, and then he tried to fuck her over and stuff. And he knew she couldn't do anything. And
I remember that.
Yeah, it was So
I'll be honest with you. One thing about Voyager, right? So I watched it, because Voyager came out right after no, it wasn't right after Next Generation. It was at the same time as Deep Space Nine, right?
Yeah, because they had Quark. Quark was in the pilot and stuff.
Yeah,
didn't they teach you about? And that's another that line bothered me right there. It's like, didn't they teach you about Ferengi at the academy? Because I was like, the whole thing that part right there. Because remember, we're supposed to be in the very distant future, and there's no prejudice exists anymore. The Federation is not at war with the Ferengi Empire. So why would the Academy, that they're really just admitting that they got a bunch of snotty Starfleet guys, at least whispering. No, I mean Harry Kim. Tom said that to Harry Kim. He said, "Didn't they teach you about Ferengi?" So are they? So they're just openly at the Academy shitting on the Ferengis. I mean, look, I'm just being real.
That's right. Well, and they said there's no need for money, but what's all this gold press latinum? And
Ferengis, the humans, as the Ferengis are, the humans don't need money.
Was it the first episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation that they had the Ferengi in, or was it?
No, it was because
it was the first season though, right?
Yeah, I think they did introduce them in the first season. They didn't get that makeup right and everything. It's just like they introduced.
The first episode was Farpoint
Station, which is a two-parter now. But it was a 2-hour, Farpoint Station, which I think, man, I wish they could go back and reshoot some of those episodes because they still had the Enterprise uniforms with the zip up in the front. It was and they didn't quite get that look down, but now, but by the third season, they said, "Oh, hey, let's move that zipper to the back," and they tightened that up, and it became the standard for all the Star Trek shows.
And they added the little collar to it too. So instead of being like a t-shirt neck, it had a collar to it, and I think it looked a lot better.
Because they actually had Marina Sirtis. But although some of them, I actually saw somebody say they were just one of those bigger Star Trek channels I watch on YouTube, and they actually said that maybe it was a good thing that Gene died, because a lot, having Counselor Troy walking around in the old school Star Trek skirts on the bridge and stuff, everybody was like, "Oh, that's kind of cringy." She should be in a normal suit like the rest. And she did look better when they got her out of the. Although there was another, she had that kind of purplish dress that I thought was she looked really good in that. But
well, dude, I mean, with a figure like that, you're going to look pretty damn good in pretty much anything you put on. When
I go back and look at the old episodes now, where she's walking on the bridge with that little skirt, it looks bad.
With you. I'm with you, but still, I mean, whatever. I don't really care that much. But the point I was going to make about Voyager is Voyager. So like Deep Space Nine, Next Generation, I've gone back and I've watched episodes, and actually with most of the whole series over again. But I have never gone back and rewatched Voyager. I just haven't. While I enjoyed it just fine when it was on TV, I just didn't care, to go back and watch it again. I mean, maybe I'll do it someday, but
now there was a lot of shit wrong with Voyager, and I mean Voyager made it. They probably would have canceled that shit if they hadn't put the chick in to play 7 of 9, because the ratings went up. Because I mean, they had those tight outfits on her with the. I mean,
the 7 of 9 stuff was good. I thought, the whole idea of the Borg are out there and they're kind of encountering them, but
they were smart, and they took that Borg makeup off of her, could let her show them big ass titties that she had and all that good stuff. I mean, it's like,
oh yeah, she was freaking hot too, man.
Oh man, and then she started fucking one of the producers on the show. She was married, and I just say, oh, hold up, Jam Craze. I hated Dr. Pulaski. Now, okay, that's a good point. Dr. Pulaski, Gates McFadden apparently got pregnant during that season of Star Trek: The Next Generation, and at that time they didn't, they didn't want to have her character be pregnant on the show because she's already got Wesley, and what are they gonna say? It's Picard's baby or whatever, and that would have looked weird. So they couldn't have her just walking around with a big old fat pregnant belly, and they didn't want to turn her into a lizard and have her fuck one of the crew members and have lizard babies. So they brought Dr. Pulaski, who had been on the original Star Trek, and she ended up leaving the crew when they did the Ricardo Montalban Khan episode. The woman that played Pulaski, so I didn't hate her because seeing her on the show, I was like, that was a throwback to the original Gene Roddenberry Trek series because she was Khan's wife. She's the woman that left that went down to that harsh planet to be Khan's wife, and then obviously she died on that planet, and Khan wanted revenge on Kirk, and we got a brilliant Wrath of Khan. So
yeah.
So I can't hate on Pulaski because that's what it is. So, but like on Voyager, Harry Kim's character was annoying as fuck. I found there's maybe 2 episodes of with Harry Kim in it that I didn't want to like stab my eyes out whenever he was on the screen.
Well, I mean, I had no problem with the actor. For me, it was just the kind of like the bumbling and completely naive nature of the character.
He wasn't very well written to me.
Right. I think they were trying to set him up as kind of like a counterpoint to Tom Paris, because Tom Paris was like the flashy hotshot, edgy dude. But
I didn't have a problem with Paris. No, my only problem with Paris was that he was turned into a lizard and had sex with the captain. That's the problem I had with Tom Paris, is that he let them turn him into a lizard, have sex with and impregnate the captain, have lizard babies, and then turn back into a human. The fact that they did that, okay. And again, they just left the babies. They were like, they'll just live their life. Oh man, but I don't know. That would have opened up if they had grabbed all the little lizard babies and brought them back up to the Voyager and turned them into humans. That would have been weird as shit to me.
They'd put them in the machine and be like, we can't turn them back into. All right, we'll just beam them back down to the planet.
Yeah, that was. Oh man, that just. Just. Okay, hold up. Kenshawn, Braithwaite, the original Trek, then Next Generation, then Babylon 5, top 3 stop. Batting 1,000 on all 3 of those. I look Babylon 5, but they had another Babylon 5 show called Crusade. It didn't, yeah. Okay. I was like, I watched it though. J.R. Craze, what if the lizard babies returned in the new Picard show? I mean, it's like everybody's acting like I'm making this shit up. They did that. You can Google. Hey, Google's your friend. They turned them into like amphibians or some shit.
Hey, so what's the animated show going to be about though? Is that going to be like the old school Star Trek animated series, just kind of like continuing the old series, or what's that going to be?
Are they doing I missed that one. Are they doing a cartoon as well?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I hear.
Okay, see, I didn't, because I've seen they used to run the original animated Star Trek on Nickelodeon, and so I used to watch those episodes on Nickelodeon.
Yeah, I remember that. I was like, "What the hell is that thing driving the Enterprise, man?" That alien freaks me out.
Yeah, because they got, obviously they knew there's like, it's animation, so we can make more outrageous aliens and stuff like that so the Star Trek cartoon series was a little bit more out there. But okay. Keyshawn Braithwaite, Crusade was crap. Yeah. I thought it was gonna be dope. It was I can understand why it didn't make it past another season, but they had great cast on there though. Crusade, and I thought the premise was good that there was a virus, that this alien race had infected the entire planet Earth with a virus, and no one could, the people on Earth could not leave the planet because they would infect the rest of the galaxy. But there was obviously a couple of space-bearing ships, and there was some humans on those ships that had not went down to the Earth, so they couldn't come down to Earth, obviously, but they was like, hey, we can go out and travel, and hopefully we can find a cure on another world and bring it back to Earth.
I'll be honest with you, I don't even remember that one.
Yeah, see, as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of funny, but I mean, it's just kind of interesting. There's been a lot of great classic sci-fi TV shows, and I remember as when I was younger, it's like any sci-fi was good, but as you get older, you get kind of pickier, and I've never been a Trekkie or anything like that, but I enjoyed watching. Like the Next Generation was my jam back in the '80s.
Okay, hold up now, because this is a really good question. Because I actually want to answer this question that Jam Creates had. So, what is your opinion on questionable '90s syndicated action shows, Renegade, Highlander, Beastmaster, Xena, etc.? I love them all. The cheesier, the better. All right, so let's unpack that. Thought Renegade was for chicks that wanted to watch Lorenzo Lamas show his fucking chest off and shit. So, since I'm a straight dude, that didn't do nothing for me. Highlander, I thought Highlander was dope, and then they spun it off into that Raven show or whatever the fuck, and it wasn't that with that chick that fucked Bill Clinton, that was like Miss Arkansas. The chick, she was an actress on Highlander. She had apparently been Miss Arkansas and banged Bill Clinton.
What the hell that?
Yeah, and then she got a job on Highlander because they did, if you watch Highlander, they actually started inserting a little social justice in there, because at first all the Highlanders were male, and then they started going, oh, we've got female Highlanders. Oh, okay.
So all my friends watched Highlander and I didn't watch it, because I was in college in the '90s. I didn't watch a lot of TV, I watched a lot of movies, and I watched a lot of like VHS stuff, but I didn't watch a lot of because I didn't have TV in my dorm for most of college, I mean, I didn't have cable or whatever.
Because, but that's the era. Do they even still syndicate those TV shows like that now? Because I don't see, let me see. Amanda Lucy said it appears Jam is also familiar with the Action Pack, because I remember they had the Action Pack, and they even had what was it? There was a show called the Lazarus Man with what was it? Robert Urich, Ulrich or whatever. Yeah, the Lazarus Man. It was connected to the Lincoln assassination and all that. They had Lazarus Man, and they had Tales from the Dark Side. They had something I've talked about 100 times that has influenced Brand, which was the TV show Friday the 13th. So
that's so funny, because I've been becoming aware of the fact that there's a lot of shit in the '90s that I totally missed out on because, for whatever reason.
Well, I think Friday the 13th it has such a huge influence on specifically the fact that they had to every week they had to hunt these cursed objects down and stuff, and it was just. But apparently the hockey mask that Jason Voorhees wore came from this antiquity shop, Curious Goods.
Now, if I remember correctly, because I never saw the show, but I remember the show. That was the one. It's like Jason really wasn't in it, but there was all this kind of tangentially related stuff to the Friday the 13th mythos or whatever, right?
And then here it is. From my understanding, research, because I'm telling you, this is one of my favorite shows of all time. I watched every episode of it. From my understanding, it was something. It had another title, and it wasn't. But they got the licensing rights to the name Friday the 13th, and so they changed the name of the TV show to Friday the 13th, because Friday the 13th was. So then when you watch the show, it has jack shit to do with Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
It has absolutely nothing to do. And then they go, okay, well, we'll say that the hockey mask that Jason Voorhees got was from this shop. And that's the only connecting. That's the only thing that connected Papa Kanisu. Didn't Nightmare on Elm Street have a show? And like, yes, it did. Because Friday the 13th was so successful, the same company. But now they did the same thing. Now this show was shot in Canada as well. Both of those shows, Friday the 13th was shot in Canada. And most of a lot of those syndicated shows that weren't on,
they were all up in was it like Montreal, Vancouver? Yeah,
they were all shot in the Vancouver area. Also, there was a little
X-Files was up there too.
Yeah, but that was on a network. I'm talking about there was a couple of these companies that were making TV shows that were syndicated. Like Baywatch.
Hercules was another one of those big shows back then, right?
Yeah, and that Hercules and Xena, both syndicated, both out of New Zealand. But there was a sitcom called Small Wonder about Vicky the robot. She was an android. And she was a little, this guy was a robotic. He worked at this robotics factory, and he created this android that he called Vicky. And he realized he had created this perfect creation. And for whatever reason, he didn't want to tell his bosses about it. So he snuck Vicky home. She was so realistic, he was able to pretend she was a real girl. And he snuck Vicky home, and the whole show was about him raising her as his child with his wife and his son. So Vicky, no, dude. Eric, I encourage people, look on YouTube, because there was so many of these shows that you could tell people are still fans of them. There's another show called Out of This World, where the woman, apparently this alien came down, he fucked her, got her pregnant, and then he had to go back up to space, and she had the little alien baby or half alien baby that had the ability to stop time for like a minute at a time or something. She would touch her fingers.
I've never heard of that.
Dude, I'm about to send you all these clips, dude, because I had to find all this shit. Because all the shows are shot in Canada. All of these shows.
So Kershaw's the one, she like the Equalizer, Miami Vice, those are shows that I was watching, man.
But those are network shows. That's what I'm saying.
I know. No,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, those shows were all on network television, obviously syndicated. They were huge hits and syndicated, like Knight Rider and stuff. But I'm talking about shows that were specifically non-network shows.
I remember them.
Just like Star Trek: The Next Generation and stuff. Those shows were not network shows. They were just
they always played them on your like local Fox affiliate.
Yeah, just like here in Tennessee, WZTV, Fox 17.
Hey, do you remember ZTV before it was a Fox?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've been in Tennessee since 1980. I've been in Tennessee since 1980. Yeah.
Man, you're giving me I'm getting all the feels, man, from Tennessee feels, man. Like did you remember when the snow days, right? They'd have the map, on the news, out of Nashville, and it was so everybody in Middle Tennessee watched, was it either Channel 4 or Channel 2?
WSMV is Channel 4, WTVF is Channel 5.
I think it was WSMV that had the snow map, right? And it's like if your county
Snowbird. They got Snowbird.
And they had the map, and if it had snow going through your county, that meant you didn't have to.
You didn't have to go to school. Yeah, you didn't go to So it's like Snowbird, and hold on, let's see. Keyshawn Braithwaite. There was Forever Night. I love the original film. Now some people tell me that newer Nikita that aired on UPN or CW or whatever, it was on CW. That new Nikita, I tried to watch that shit. It just was not for me. But the original La Femme Nikita, that shit was dope. I love La Femme Nikita that aired on USA. I watched every episode of that. I love La Femme Nikita. Love
did
that.
Did you see the movie before it though?
I watched it. It had the French version, and then they reshot it. They shot that same movie with Gabrielle Byrne and
Point of No Return.
Yeah,
Point
yeah.
of No Return. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I did not enjoy Point of No Return, but the TV show La Femme Nikita, oh my God, it was so dope. I love La Femme Nikita. And the chick that played Control and all that, I loved all that. Oh, like La Femme Nikita was dope.
Mhm.
But man, it's so crazy watching the chat because there's people, yeah, Earth Final Conflict, Tech
Yep.
Wars. Yeah,
Tech
man,
War.
people are just naming all kind of cool shit because it was just like I definitely Starman. I remember Starman wasn't, yeah.
That was a network show though, wasn't it?
It was a network show and it was horrible.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah, it was horrible. That's why my dad liked it. I
but
remember he loved
it
that
was
show. I was like,
created though. It was created by the same guy that did he was one of the creators on Magnum PI. He also created Fall Guy. He also created Knight Rider, which another Knight Rider is something else that has influenced brand because people were it was so funny. It was last year someone said he's like, "Hey, your concept of brand, some of it sounds like," because I was talking about the fact that pennants can like change into like cars and stuff like that. He can change into vehicles. And people was like, "Oh, so that's Starman." And I was like, "No, that's not Starman." But I remember Starman because it was Desi Arnaz Jr. was on there. And it was it just, yeah, it didn't do too much for me. But the whole thing was the same producer created Battlestar Galactica,
yeah.
co-created Magnum PI, created Knight Rider, and then
Dude,
so
talk about syndication shows, man. Battlestar Galactica was freaking awesome. Like I just remember the late 70s and early 80s, man. I mean, you
no,
could
well,
hardly.
Battlestar Galactica aired on ABC.
Yeah, well, see, but that's just it. It was in syndication though by the early 80s.
Yeah, they
And
just kept rerunning it though.
yeah.
That's when it's so bad that it's good because it got, it only lasted one season, but people were like, we have to
Was it
watch
just
this.
one season?
Yeah, it only made it one season.
Yeah, I guess
I
so.
had toys. I had Battlestar Galactica toys.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, I had a ship. I had a ship that because the dude, what's the guy? Dirk Benedict that went on to play Face on the A-Team. He was
Yeah.
on there. And I needed everybody's telling me to go and watch the obviously the newer version that aired on Sci-Fi because everybody's like, "No, the new Battlestar Galactica was dope, man." It was
Hey
like,
man, I've got to say that was a damn good show.
okay, so yeah, it's on
worth
Netflix.
seeing.
I just haven't watched it because I've been so busy. But everybody's been telling me it's like, "Yo, if you talk about watching Battlestar Galactica as a kid, then you need to go and watch the Netflix." The Netflix version.
It will freak you out how good that first season is.
Yeah, because they tried to do the what was the young Adama show with the guy Esai Morales playing the young version of Adama, and
Yeah.
I can't remember they aired. I watched like 2 episodes of that, and I was like, yeah, they doing too much. It was confusing to me, and I didn't know.
Yeah. So if I remember correctly from that, it was good, but if you hadn't seen the other one that was good was Caprica.
That's what I'm talking about. Caprica.
Yeah.
The young Adama show.
Well,
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about the one where he's a pilot and there's it's like a TV movie or whatever.
No, it was Caprica and
Okay,
Esai
yeah.
Morales was on it.
Yeah, so Caprica is the one that, if you don't know the general story, it's like it's gonna, because it all
Okay,
takes.
so I need to go. I know. So if I watch Caprica, how many seasons did Caprica air? Because it
I
didn't.
want to say it was like 2. It wasn't a lot.
Okay, that's what I'm about to say. So I need to go and so what I need to do is watch. I need to watch Battlestar Galactica, and then I need to watch Caprica then because I was like I wasn't watching those shows, and I was just like, oh.
So now Caprica is the prequel to Battlestar Galactica, but it's a lot of the politics and stuff that's going on in Caprica. It's kind of like they assume you already kind of know a lot of that.
That's what I'm saying. I was lost, and I watched a couple episodes, and I was like, I'm fucking lost. I don't know what the hell's going on. And I thought I could just jump right into it because I hadn't seen the Battlestar Galactica show. So I watched the original Battlestar Galactica, so I thought I was just like, well, let me watch this, and I can go back and watch Battlestar Galactica, and then I'll know, where it all, and it's just that was a mistake because I just got so confused. It just was not it didn't work for me. So
yeah.
But I trust the chat. I'm seeing people saying that Caprica's good. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, and so here's the other thing too: is like whereas Battlestar Galactica has a very much a military kind of sci-fi, action-oriented storyline, a lot of drama, but still action, right? Whereas Caprica is very much like politics and personal relationships, and it's the action is more like murder and intrigue versus like straight up action. So it's still got maybe a slower pace to it.
Let me see. Jam Cray says, "What about VIP with Pamela Anderson?" Antonio must watch that. You are absolutely right. I watched VIP. VIP was actually dope, man. I really liked that show. It got that last season though. I was ready, but it was a big hit because
did you ever see the Barbed Wire movie?
Yeah, I didn't like that.
I just laughed my ass off through it. I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, that movie was like Kishon Braithwaite. I love the original Kung Fu. The update was Vanishing Sun gave me some of what the update. Okay, I agree with you like 90-something% on that but my aunt, I used to watch. I actually bonded with my aunt watching the Kung Fu: The Legend Continues. It was strange, but yeah, the original Kung Fu with what was it? David Carradine, who we now know was a weirdo perv that killed himself jerking off in a fucking closet in Japan. Yeah. Oh my God. Oh my God.
I can never watch Kung Fu ever again now. I mean, it's just kind of like whatever.
Or Kill Bill, which I love Kill Bill Volume 1 and Kill Bill Volume 2. Even though they were supposed to release a full edition of Kill Bill where it was going to be one long continuous movie.
I thought they did.
There was there's supposed to be maybe they've got it on Amazon now because there was supposed to be one and they pulled it. But yeah, I need to go and peep because there was supposed to be a continuous version of Kill Bill released. But everything I've seen on Blu-ray is too. I mean, hell, it's the same movie, but I mean, because if you look, totally, Kill Bill and Kill Bill 2 are those are two different movies. I mean, it's just got the same person in it, but if you want more of an homage to like Hollywood Kung Fu flicks, you got to watch the first one.
Yeah.
And then the second one, it doesn't have all that. It gets more down to the nitty gritty, and it's more Sergio Leone Western type vibe more to it. It's that kind of deal. So, but yeah, and there's the great clip at the end where Uma Thurman, she obviously is with Bill, and it's the Superman speech that David Carradine gives where he's explaining his whole thing about. I thought that was brilliant because I thought Quentin just did a magnificent piece of writing there. I love, some people they rag on Tarantino, which that's the thing about Quentin Tarantino. I didn't know he was from Tennessee. Quentin Tarantino was born in Tennessee. I think he was born in Knoxville.
Is he really?
Yeah, he was born in Tennessee, and then they moved out to California. But yeah, he's from Johnny Knoxville. But if you remember in Pulp Fiction, when the dude Bruce Willis's character, that's where they were going to rendezvous at, after they ripped off Marcellus or whatever, and he didn't throw the fight. They were supposed to leave town and they were supposed to rendezvous in Knoxville. That was a nod. That was a nod to him being from Tennessee originally.
I tell you what, the cool thing, I felt like I got in on Quentin Tarantino early because like most people are like, oh, Pulp Fiction is where they found him, but like
no, I got Reservoir Dogs, dude. I got
Oh
Reservoir
yeah,
Dogs.
I was the same. It was like I saw that and I was just like, you got to be kidding me! This is like the most awesome thing that I ever saw.
And
Because
you want to know another great Quentin Tarantino movie that is slept on,
which one?
which is Four Rooms. If you
Oh
watch
yeah,
where they take those forward. Now, obviously, Four Rooms has four different directors. That was
Robert Rodriguez, Quentin Tarantino. Oh, fuck, I can't.
I
You
know
remember who the
Madonna
other
was
two
in
were?
that damn movie. Madonna was in Four Rooms, but I thought the segment that Tim Roth is in the entire movie.
Yeah,
Tim
yeah, he's
Roth
the
was
bellhop. Yeah,
Tim Roth, and I think overseas they called it the bellhop or something. I thought overseas it was some of those foreign markets they call it a different name.
yeah.
It's just like what was it that one movie, or I'm trying to remember. There's a movie that was kind of big over here, but it wasn't like a huge hit. But it had, in the American version, it had this woman in there that was like apparently a big star over in China, but when they released the movie over in China, they cut some of the lesser known American actors out. They lowered their part, and then there were scenes that they shot for her so that they could bulk her role up. So that's how they do. You'll be like, why do they got this person?
Well, they did that for what was it? Iron Man. Was it
Yeah,
Iron Man 3? They had like a whole scene of Chinese stuff that wasn't in the American cut.
yeah, and also like Kung Fu Panda, like the Jackie Chan. Jackie Chan is a huge star over in China. You right? If you seen, he was Monkey. They really didn't give him much to do over, in Kung Fu Panda, but apparently when they did the redubs for China and stuff, they did some new animations and stuff and bulked his role up significantly for when that movie was over there. So that and
Oh,
he got
really?
and he did his own. Jackie Chan over in China is like, he's like cinematic Jesus over there and stuff. It's crazy. So they have, there's extra footage with extra dialogue for Monkey over in China.
So, yeah. Yeah. So Jackie Chan, right? It's the interesting thing. So this takes us back to the beginning of our conversation when we were talking about like actors who do crazy shit that we have to ignore, right?
Right.
So Jackie Chan is a card-carrying member of the Communist Party in China, and I know what you're going to say. Oh, well, they all have to be if they're going to be prominent. Well, that's true, but like he actually espouses the party line and like goes out of his way to promote a lot of that stuff. And I mean, he's a real like he really believes in like red commie China propaganda, and it's kind of sad when you see that. But it doesn't keep me from watching Jackie Chan movies.
Well, see, and that's the thing. That's one thing I started to learn as I was like, you've been in the military. I'm sure you've met, what I'm saying, you've met people from international. That's one thing I've noticed. Talking with people from other countries online and stuff, is that I tend to look at things from an American perspective.
Sure.
And so there, you go to another country, their culture is different. So yeah, he probably does believe, it's like you see some of these people like in Iraq or not Iraq, Iran, and the guy that was like their leader or whatever, he would say all kind of foul stuff about America, to the press over there. It's like death to America. He would do all this crazy stuff. And he come over here and he's like, yes, we like peace with America. You know what I'm saying? He's telling us.
So like a great example of that is Al Jazeera, right? So Al Jazeera is is a Arab language news network out of either Qatar or the UAE.
Yeah, they got the watered down version here in America.
Yeah, it's the English language version of Al Jazeera is excellent. It's very down the middle. It's modeled after the BBC, and it really calls balls and strikes on the international news scene. But if you listen to the Arab language version, I mean, it's like, wait, did they just say that Al Qaeda is way better than America? And I mean, they would literally say, they would have this stuff on there that you're just like, I can't believe I just heard what I just heard. And this is, the news channel from an allied country. So yeah, absolutely, the culture is just different, and you have what's called local consumption. And these leaders get together and they say, hey, listen, if I'm like tough on you and back home, that's because I have to be, but we'll make the deal and we'll still work together.
Yes, so I definitely get that, because I've seen those. There was when Obama was still president. There was some audio that was recorded where he was saying one thing to the American press, and then I guess they were talking to the Russians or something. And
it was Vladimir Putin. Yeah, he says, yeah, just after the election.
He was like, after the election, I'll be able to,
I thought that was classic. Yeah, I mean, of course.
But I mean, and people gave him shit over that, but I was like, politicians lie all the time. Not just Republicans, not just Democrats. Politicians lie all the time.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I mean, essentially, you're gonna beat up Obama for saying that, but to one extent or another, maybe not to Vladimir Putin, but to they have this thing called realpolitik, and realpolitik is where you make deals that may not be in what you would want to advertise to everybody, but it's the best deal for your country at that moment, at that time. Like, back in the Cold War, if you look at, by the way, I said I have a degree in art, but I actually have a master's in international relations. So, if you look back in the Cold War, you got a lot of realpolitik going on, all that kind of the rebels, supporting death squads and all those corrupt dudes in Central America. Did we like those guys? No, we didn't like them, but that's who we needed, because it was either those guys or it was Daniel Ortega and Fidel Castro and the other commies coming in and taking over. So, it's the best of a bad situation,
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. It's like, so with politics and stuff like that, I mean, so I'm sure he grew up in that. Jackie Chan grew up in that situation, and
he's Chinese. I mean, he grew up in Hong Kong, I think, and in order to be successful in China, you gotta toe the line.
Yeah, and that's why I'm like, and the government loves him. I mean, I've heard stuff about they've let his film crew shoot places where they don't let people shoot. It's like, no, you can't shoot here. Oh, it's Jackie Chan. All right, you can shoot there. It's that kind of thing.
Absolutely. No, it's unbelievable. Like, I just remember Chris Tucker talking about when they went to Hong Kong or whatever to film. I guess it was the second.
Rush Hour 2. Like, Rush Hour 2 is, I think it's probably my favorite of the Rush, because Rush Hour 3, I was just like, it took so long for them to agree to shoot
which one was it 2? Was that the one they went to China? I think it is.
Yeah, that's when Chris Tucker went on vacation and he went to go visit visit Lee over.
I just remember an interview with him, like it was like the DVD extras or whatever, and it was like, he's like, I couldn't believe it. It was like Jackie Chan is like the freaking king president of China. It's like,
he said it. No, I've got because Brett Ratner he was executive producer on all those movies and he directed all 3. But I thought I've got Rush Hour 1 and Rush Hour 2 on DVD. I do not have Rush Hour 3 because I didn't enjoy it as much. But Rush Hour 2 I thought was dope. And when they were over in China and Chris is like running through that building and she was like, fuck you, Kobe, or something like that. She thought he was Kobe, bro. I was cracking up.
That's right.
And what's the guy, the Asian actor, he was in China. What was that movie with Mickey Rourke where it was like Chinatown or something? And I know he was also in M Butterfly with he was, man, that guy John Way of the Dragon or Year of the Dragon or something like that. I mean, it's an incredible movie, but it's like John Lowe. Man,
John.
he's an incredible actor. I mean, the dude's brilliant and speaks perfect English and then speaks Mandarin. And there's like, dude is a brilliant actor.
Well, most of those guys, most of the Chinese actors that have really made it, in Western films, they come out of Hong Kong, and in Hong Kong they speak a lot of English,
because it was occupied, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about occupied, but yeah, it was. The British were in control for so long, so I mean,
100 years. I mean, they took it over. I mean, they had it for 100 years, and then they had to give it back to the government. I mean, that's what.
Well, that's just it. They didn't have to give it back. They decided they wanted to give it back, which is, that's very magnanimous of them. It's kind of like us in the Panama Canal. We shouldn't have done it. We shouldn't have given it back, but we did. It was a decision.
I mean, but it's their land, though. I mean, I don't know. That's why I'm saying. I was like,
I don't know. It's kind of like if I come in and I build the Panama Canal, that's my damn Panama Canal. You ain't getting it, because you know who runs the Panama Canal now? China does.
Oh well. I mean, yeah. So, I mean, but that's the thing, So okay, so obviously military background. My dad, was 23 years in the Army.
Yeah.
It's just, with the U.S., we would, we go in. It's like when we go in somewhere, we ain't never leaving. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why we still over in Germany. That's why we're still over in Iran. And I mean, we're still over in Iraq. And, even when they pull those troops out of, it's like when we get a foothold in somewhere, that's why we still got bases over in Japan and stuff. It's like, hey, we're friends now. But
I know all about that, man. I spent 6.5 years in Korea. And then, I spent another 3 years in other foreign countries, so for a total of almost 10 years in the past, 17 years. So I know how that is. And, it's, I don't like it personally. I feel that we probably shouldn't be in half the places we are, because our national interest just doesn't, but at the same time, I understand why we are. And so, what are you going to do?
All right. So, but yeah, man. But like I said, yeah, obviously the Hong Kong stars, because I remember when they were talking about. Go ahead.
But I was gonna say, did you get into all the Hong Kong action films that came out in the early '90s, and like The Killer and Hard Boiled and Streets of Fire and all that?
I've watched Hard Boiled because what's the guy? Because I'm trying to remember his name, because they tried to. He was in that movie. He was in.
Chow Yun-fat.
Yeah, Chow Yun-fat, because they had him. He was in another movie with Bridget Fonda. And then obviously Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, which I loved.
Oh yeah, that was a great movie.
Yeah, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon is incredible. But see, that's the thing. That's why I was bringing it back, because we were talking about Rush Hour 2. Yeah. The young star that she was the kind of the second villain in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. She was one of the henchmen in Rush Hour 2, and she could not speak. I mean, they said
she couldn't speak English.
She couldn't speak English at all. They said they had to have like translators. That chick could not speak English. And then it was the Spanish. There was a Spanish chick there she was Chris Tucker's love interest in the movie. And I thought it was so funny. I was watching interviews with her. She was talking about that her name's like G something. I can't. I mean, brilliant martial artist and all that. But
really pretty too, yeah.
Oh yeah, she was smoking hot. But she was the Spanish woman that was in Rush Hour 2. She was saying that woman was trying to, it's like, hey, teach me some English. And she grew up not knowing English, and she had to teach herself English, and she still had that accent, And she's like, you don't want to learn English from me, because I speak English with this bad accent and everything. You don't want to learn English from me. And it was so funny, man. It's like Rosalind Sanchez.
And
Oh,
yeah, I haven't heard that. I haven't even thought of that name in years.
who has? She's not even. Is she even acting anymore?
I
I'm
don't
like,
think
I don't.
so.
I'm like, she might. I'm like, I've never. You know what I'm saying? She's not. Yeah. So it's
Zhang
like
Ji, yeah.
James. Yeah. Yeah. I don't.
And
Yeah. I
she's
don't.
been in a bunch of other stuff too.
Yeah. Jay Z. She's been in a bunch of movies. There's another badass kung fu movie that she was in, and I can't. Man, that movie was dope, but I can't remember the name of it, man. I was like, she got it after Crop Tiger Hidden Dragon. That shit was dope, man. I was like, oh, because I watched like a movie like Iron Monkey. Iron Monkey was oh man, what's that guy? He was in Rogue One. I am one with the Force, and the Force is what.
Oh yeah. Lou, what's his name?
Oh God, I am one with the Force, and the
Yeah,
Force
I
is what.
can't remember his name.
But there's a movie called Iron Monkey. I've got it. Quentin Tarantino re-released it here in America. He was executive producer of the DVD re-release
Is that
in
the one where
America.
like RZA did the music for it?
He did something for it, and that's how he ended up working with Quentin Tarantino
Yeah.
on the Legend of the Iron Hands or whatever. Which that movie wasn't very good, but it got you managed to get an Academy Award winner like Russell Crowe in it, and Lucy Liu was in it.
That's right.
No, that was literally just people that either fucked with RZA or they fucked with Quentin. That was because Lucy's like, oh, he put me in Kill Bill, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna put him in. And because Russell literally just admit he didn't know Quentin, even though he obviously knew who Quentin was, but Russell admitted he only shot for 2 weeks. He only agreed to do the movie because he was cool with RZA because they did American Gangster together.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and he's like, yeah, I knew RZA. We did American Gangster. I don't know if have you seen that with him and Denzel Washington and
Yeah. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, it was a great movie, and he was one of the undercover cops on Russell Crowe's team, and so he's like, man, I love working with RZA on that, and he said I had 2 weeks free, so I was like, that movie was shit, and it was a shit movie, and you don't understand, I love the Wu-Tang Clan. Do you understand? I love Wu-Tang Clan. I love Wu-Tang Clan.
I'm gonna take you at your word, brother.
Yeah, but yeah, I can't just give RZA a pat. Just like RZA was in that the G.I. Joe sequel, and that movie, and they all of a sudden they got a blind black ninja master. I was like, get the fuck out of here with that shit, dude. What is that, man? It just they shoehorned the RZA in the movie, and it made no sense for his black ass to be in there.
Well, the sad thing is the second G.I. Joe movie was actually better than the first one.
Yeah, it definitely was. Second G.I. Joe was definitely better. It had The Rock in it, Bruce Willis, boom, boom, boom. I mean, yeah. But yeah, the second one, how do you screw up property? It's just like I had someone on a couple weeks ago and we were talking about how do you fuck up properties like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? How do you fuck up Transformers? How do you do that? It's like those people, because you have someone like Michael Bay who admits that, yeah, I never watched Transformers. Why the fuck are you making it then?
I mean, the first one was good because it's something we had never seen before, and
I thought it was okay, but you could tell he wasn't a fan.
Nah, that's right.
When I saw Optimus Prime and they had that Peterbilt truck, I knew he wasn't a fan.
Well, so the other thing is that seeing Bumblebee and how they made the Gen 1 Transformers, in a modern style, I was like, because Soundwave was my favorite Transformer. I never fucking owned that toy when I was a kid.
Kanan's telling me though that I need to watch Bumblebee. Him and Jamal.
It's good.
Jamal good. From they were my buddy Jamal. They were both telling me, I know you had a bad taste in your mouth for them Transformers movies, but watch Bumblebee because Michael Bay's just a producer on that. He didn't direct it.
Yeah, so there's some SJW stuff in it, but that being said, it's still a good movie. It's a solid movie. So like I took my kids to see that, and I was pleasantly surprised. I mean, you're not going to see any Hollywood. It's like once you kind of you get the red pill on the SJWs, you're always going to see them because they've been in Hollywood for years. You know, they're just a lot more kind of outspoken about it now.
Yeah, that's the thing. I really love Transformers. I really love it. So I watched the first Michael Bay Transformers. I watched it and I went with a lady friend of mine. She knows I'm a comic book head. I'm a geek, and she was looking, and I had a look on my face. She's like, well, because she went into the movie just wanting to see a popcorn movie, big explosions and stuff. So she didn't give a fuck. She wasn't a Transformers fan. She saw the look on my face. She was like, I thought it was okay with you. I said, it's all right, but I could start nitpicking it because, like I said, once they got Prime and he's not in the right truck, I knew when he rolled up and he wasn't in the right truck, I was like, oh damn. And just the way they transform with those doing the nanite transform.
I wasn't all about that. I mean, what is that, the third one?
No, I'm just saying that they did that from the beginning though, because if you notice, even in the first movie, they didn't. That's the one thing I loved about those toys. They clearly made, they did a diagram and they figured out how to make those toys transform and make it work. And even in the first one, they just said, all right, fucking CGI. And he just morphing with a bunch of, and I was like, okay. And then so let's skip past that and go into the second Transformers. They're clearly setting up the Constructicons and Devastator. So I said, oh shit, we got I'm excited because then that means we're about to get combiners, right? I love the combiners when they started doing those on Transformers. I was excited about that. They did this weird ass shit with it created this weird creature. I was like, what the fuck is this? I was like, that's not Devastator. I want Devastator like he appeared on the 80s cartoon when I was a kid. I want that. I want a huge fucking robot that's the size of a building.
It looks like a person, not some kind of weird, snake-headed monster or whatever.
Yeah, I didn't get that. And it was clearly more nanites. He's got the drill hand and stuff. And I was like, okay, man, y'all don't. But again, Michael Bay proudly admitting, I wasn't a fan of Transformers as a kid. So, I didn't watch the show in the 80s or whatever. So, he didn't give a shit. So I was like, so I can understand just buy the rights to the property and find someone that loves that franchise to direct it.
Mm-hmm.
That way you still get a shitload of money and the fans are happy. Because I thought first Transformers was okay, but again, like I said, because I'm a fan, I'm nitpicking the fuck out of it. They didn't do Megatron because that was another thing. They making Megatron like a jet or whatever. I want Megatron to be that fucking. I want him to be a gun and transport.
Well, so what they're saying about this new movie is that this new movie, it feels like it could exist in the same world as the old Transformer movies, but what they're saying is it's a reboot. So they're gonna redo Transformers and make them look a lot more like the Generation 1 Transformers.
Because the fans were bitching about it. I'm saying, it'd take you 5 fucking minutes to get it up.
It made plenty of money, but I think the one that was in China, that was terrible, man.
And, which one? Because I thought the last night should have been the last movie. It was like Transformers, the last movie. Fuck that. It's just like
I'll be honest with you. I really didn't care for either of the last two. I thought the second one,
the Mark Wahlberg movies. The Mark Wahlberg,
I'll be honest with you. I didn't have a problem with the Mark Wahlberg part. It was just like,
I didn't. Yeah, Mark Wahlberg didn't ruin the movie for me. It was the movie ruined the movie for me.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And the China one definitely took me out of it. And the last night there was some kind of fun stuff in it, but for the most part, it wasn't my thing,
Yeah, because I just, man, I was sitting there going, man, I don't know. I'm too protected. It's like they did a Jim movie a few years ago, and I love the cartoon, all those Hasbro cartoons, Jim and the Holograms. So I watched it. I was like, and I was like, how do you fuck that up? Jim should have been cool, man. She's got fucking hologram earrings and stuff, and they spent so much time setting all that bullshit up.
Didn't they do a Josie and the Pussycats movie too?
Yeah, they did, and it wasn't very good either.
Yeah, I see. I don't think I ever saw it, but I think I remember.
No, I watched it because it had Rosario Dawson in it with her big ass titties. I love that. She was in she was in that fucking Alexander movie with Colin Farrell and what's the chick that was married to Angelina Jolie.
Oh yeah.
She was Alexander's mother, but yeah, Rosario Dawson actually gets topless in the fucking Alexander movie. You see, I knew she had some healthy chesticles, but my God, it was unreal down there. I was like, oh God, man, getting smothered with those things.
Where did you get that word chesticles?
It's just some slang, man.
I know where I've heard it. I just want to see if you heard it from the same place, because I would be embarrassed to admit where I heard it.
No, there's just stuff we was saying in the hood, man. I don't know. I don't know. Is that like a military something?
No. So my kids are, they're girls. I have two girls, and they love their YouTube, and there's this YouTube chick. She's like a comedian, and she does this character called Miranda Sings. You ever heard this?
No.
This chick? Oh man, she's got like 10 million YouTube followers.
Oh I wish I had 10 million.
yeah. She's like YouTube rich, right? Anyway, so like she uses all these really weird words, and so like I guess she got a Netflix show. Like everybody gets a Netflix deal nowadays, right? And so I watched the Netflix show with my kids. And she, it's like chesticles is one of the things that she says. And, I can't remember what the other things that she says, but it's funny as shit, man.
Speaking of which, since you mentioned Netflix, I just, I was always looking for different stories to do videos on. And the one that I almost did a video on the other day, because there, Ben Affleck has a movie with what's the guy that played?
For what is it? Triple border.
Something. The guy from Sons of Anarchy, and the guy that played Poe Dameron.
And then the guy from he's the Mandalorian now, but the guy,
and from Game of Thrones and stuff. Yeah,
Narcos, right?
Yeah, he's in every fucking thing. But the first time I saw him, he was playing the guy from Dorne that got killed by the mountain.
He got his head smashed in. That's right.
Prince Oberyn Martell. He should just stab that fucker and killed him instead of bullshitting and dancing around and stuff. But
I think he could have won. I think he could have won it.
Well, it was over if he would just because he was already, because he had poison on the end of his spear, so he had already wounded him, and he was sitting there just bleeding out. He should have just let him bleed out, and just he would have been like, it's a wrap, or just stabbed him in the head and ended it real quick.
Absolutely.
But he's like, no, you cannot die yet. I want you to confess. And all that. So the funny thing about that, apparently, while that show started filming, he started banging Lena Headey, the chick that plays Cersei.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And she had previously been banging the guy that plays Braun on that show.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. And she was I didn't know that. I didn't know it either. But she had been in a relationship with the guy that plays Braun, and they broke up. And so now when they shoot the scenes, like when they make sure that when he shoots scenes that they are not on the set together. They shoot the scene. Because apparently it was real awkward on the set there, and then she started messing with the guy that played Oberon, and he's on the Mandalorian and stuff. So yeah, they got a little pity, but they're not together anymore either. So she started messing with it. But yeah, that apparently they was hooking up on the set of Game of Thrones. They was getting it in.
Well, speaking of Lena Headey, man, here I'll give you some sci-fi TV blast in the past. Terminator, the TV show.
Yeah, I watched that. Yeah, I watched that.
I thought that was a tight show.
Yeah, I did too. With the one chick, she was on another show. The one that played the robot. I'm trying to remember. She was on something else.
She was on what's the sci-fi show? Salvation. That was.
Yeah.
That was the movie.
Yeah. Was it Salvation?
No, with all the crazy, the sci-fi western show.
Firefly. That's where she came from. I was like, I knew that chick from somewhere because I was like,
the movie was called Salvation, though, right?
No, Serenity.
Serenity, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right. I knew it was an S word.
Yeah. Serenity. Yeah, she was on, which I actually liked. Did you like the Serenity movie? I liked it.
I liked it too. Oh, so I'll be honest with you. I saw I didn't even know about the Firefly show because that was another period where I was completely out of the country. So I didn't even know about the Firefly show. So I get back and I'm living in Colorado. Oh yeah, I've been out of the country for 2.5 years at that point. In Iraq and Korea. And so that came out, I guess, about 2004, 2003, right? Firefly?
Yeah, around there.
Yeah, so I missed, not only did I miss that, but I missed all the music because I didn't have like real radio, and I missed all the cable TV shows, and I missed the freaking election, man, because outside of like just the news in the DFAC and that's the dining facility and places like that, you didn't hear any news. So like I completely missed that entire Kerry Bush election.
I honestly just figured you guys were someone, because I actually played. I used to go into these spades rooms online where you play spades, and I was playing with a soldier. He was stationed over in Germany though. He was and I was playing spades with him, and I mean that dude was good though. He was killing me in spades. I was like, yeah, he whooped my ass.
We play some spades, man.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, this old boy, he ain't gonna be able to whoop my. I mean, where I came from, you in the hood.
Oh yeah.
You can't play spades. It's a wrap. You understand? They play dominoes.
So the funny thing is that a lot of that kind of hood stuff works its way into the army culture, and so like
dominoes,
the spades and dominoes are huge and I'll be honest with you, I'm terrible at dominoes because I'm not good at that fast math, that fast adding. I
wasn't good at dominoes, but I can play my ass off on some spades. I can play spades.
Yeah, that's the way I am too. I love spades. So.
Yeah, my brother, because I used to go into, there was so many of these online spade rooms. You could go in AOL and play spades. You could play on Yahoo. You could play on MSN. And so I would hop around. And then there was one of these companies that they folded up. They don't exist anymore. But I mean, internet was still kind of new and it was changing. I'm talking like when AOL was still actually popping. It's like
I remember. Yeah. So the thing is that like if you're at a place like Korea that's established, they had internet back then. Not good internet, but basic internet, right? But when you went to someplace like Iraq or places like that, I mean, you just didn't have the internet. I mean, unless you bought. So like. I went in with a bunch of guys about halfway through our tour in Iraq, and we got satellite internet. The same shit that basically HughesNet is.
Yeah.
This was back in 2004, and it was expensive as shit. And the performance was terrible, but still, it was it's better than nothing. And so we actually ran like. Networking cables and networked a bunch of Xboxes, so you could play like 4 Xboxes on one network and 4 people per Xbox. So
were you playing the Halo thing? Because I remember, my buddy used to with the original Halo, you had to hook the Xboxes together and stuff. Yeah,
that's exactly what we were doing. So
it was so popular though. There were people. I went over to dude's house and they had taken a couple of TVs and stuff. I did not. There was must have been like 10 people there, and it was they were they was going in on that Halo, boy, and I suck at shooters, and they were going in on Halo.
So here's the irony. In the morning you get in a gunfight, you come back to your room, you get a nap, you go to sleep, and then by the afternoon you're playing Halo. So like you go from a real gunfight to a Halo gunfight within the same 24-hour period.
Yeah, it's like when they had the hook though, and then Halo 2 came up, and you didn't have to. I guess that was on the Xbox 360 or whatever. But Halo 2 came out. My nephews were really playing that Halo 2, and I was like, wow, man. And Gears of War and all, and man, they was going in.
Yeah, see, the funny thing is I played. I had my own PlayStation in Iraq, so I played a lot of the single player Vice City. Grand Theft Auto Vice City. But when I came back, I stopped playing video games again, and I didn't start playing video games again until I went to Korea, and then that's when I was like, hey, I told my wife, I was like, hey, I'm going to buy a PlayStation today. They're on sale. I think it was a PlayStation 2. And so I got a PlayStation 2, and I got Modern Warfare 2, and that's what like hooked me back into like playing video games again. So I was playing Modern Warfare 2 on the PlayStation, and I was playing Minecraft on the freaking computer. That would have been about 2008, 2009. So it's kind of like and right now I'm away from my family again. I'll be for the next month or so. I'll be here in Texas, in San Antonio. My family's they're in El Paso, so time away. But this time I'm trying to be more productive. I'm doing the live streams. I'm trying to get the word out about Doorkickers, man.
I got you. Well, hopefully, there is a link in the description if anyone wants to hop on and sign your mailing list, and sign up for your mailing list. So I'm assuming you will once you accumulate however many to do your pre-sale spiel or whatever, let everybody know when your campaign's launching and all that.
Yeah. So the advantage. So there's two advantages to joining the mailing list. The first advantage is that you get the free demo. The teaser comic. It's a 10-page comic. It gives you a great overview of what Doorkickers is all about. Introduces some of the main characters. And then the second thing is that so I learned a lot from Sweetcast. He's doing Downcast right now, and it's his campaign's doing great. I think he's getting ready to hit. He's just shy of 20,000.
Yeah,
and so one of the things that he did was to have a kind of a secret, mailing list only tier. That gives you a price break on some of the stuff. So if you get on that mailing list, you'll be able to day one get that secret tier and get a jump on on everybody else. So I think it brings some value to it. And then the other thing I learned from Clint is you don't abuse your mailing list, right? So I don't plan on sending any emails out, until I have something to say. Once I start having some of the final art from the main story comes in, things like that, I'll share that first through the mailing list, and then it'll trickle out through Twitter, and then in probably late May to early June, I'll put my project page up on Indiegogo, and we'll go live around the beginning of July.
All right, cool. We've got your again. We got the link for your mailing list. If anyone wants to sign up, it's there. And you want to plug your social media or any of that kind of stuff?
Yeah. So you can follow me on. So the two that I really hit the most are Instagram and Twitter. Um, so on Twitter, I'm Scott McCullough with no H. So LLOUG. They didn't give me enough characters. And then on Instagram, it's M Scott McCullough. So with the H in that sense, but.
Okay. All right. So hopefully you will get a couple extra people to follow you, and more people will sign up to your mailing list, and that way when you launch, you're just rolling in the dough. Maybe you get funded on the first day, right? Like
Hey, knock on wood, man. Yeah. That was just something watching him. I don't think I'll be as strong as him because he's got that solid YouTube channel audience. But
Do you have a YouTube channel?
I don't know. I don't feel like I have time for it. And I don't want to do it until I actually have time to do it right.
Well, I'm about to say, man, you definitely need to be working on that because YouTube definitely pushes a lot of sales.
No, I think you're right, and I got some stuff in the irons, and hopefully, before the campaign launches, I'll be able to announce something. Like I said, I can't do it all by myself right now.
Right.
I think maybe if I could get together with a couple other guys, I have an interesting concept, so we'll see how it works out. And I want to just say thank you. Thanks for having me on. It's always good to kind of bring the word out to a different audience, and I know you've got some pretty loyal fans and followers. So thanks for giving me access.
one or two.
Yeah.
But again, it was fun. I definitely enjoyed the Star Trek conversation was definitely very fun for me, and I appreciated having it, especially like talking about the lizard babies and all that weird stuff. So oh man, so
yeah. If you ever have a group on sometime, let me know. I'd love to jump in and join the fun, man. Because I've heard some of your group shows and they're pretty damn funny.
Yeah, so I might need to assemble a panel, and just because like I said, I can flame Voyager for so much, and yeah, that like I said, that particular episode to me, that tells me right there somebody was going through a divorce and needed like alimony check or something. And
that sounds like the name of a video you need to make. Lizard babies, yes or no?
I actually think I'm going to take the. I thought the back and forth we had during that segment. I think it might be a good video that I can clip and put up.
Especially if you edit in some of the yeah, I think that's funny as hell, man.
Yeah, because I thought a lot of people were laughing when I did my little Game of Thrones rant and about Game of Thrones and Lost and everything, because about the how the kids had these huge growth spurts and they just had to get them up out of there and stuff, because that's why they wrote that kid Walter out of Lost and everything, because they just realized like, this fucking kid, he keeps growing, they didn't know what to do with him, and so they had to get him out of there. And so and then on Game of Thrones, that's what I'm saying, is like you watch this last season of Game of Thrones, that dude's a grown ass man now. Look at it, he's just like,
well, the one for me that, because I just started rewatching the first season again, was Aya. She was like a little girl in that first season, and she's
I also say I've watched her in her press interview. She's actually pretty. She looks like boy, they got her looking kind of. I guess that's on purpose to make her look like her character's a tomboy.
Yeah.
But my God, yeah, she's actually a pretty young lady, and I was like, man, they got her looking real butch, man. Like, she looked like she should be at the Blue Oyster from the Police Academy movies and stuff.
Yeah. The Blue Oyster Lounge, man.
Yeah. That's great, man. That's
you and I, we get a lot of the same references, man. I like that.
That's awesome. So okay, but all right, guys. Thanks again to Scott McCullough for hanging out with us tonight, man. It was really, really fun conversation. So with that being said, I'm gonna wrap this video up. And if you guys want to reach out to me, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and right here on this YouTube channel. Everywhere is at Akari Press. And if you type in akaripress.com, it will take you directly to my Indiegogo campaign for my comic book series brand with the phenomenal Kanan White. We're on Teespring. We're on Amazon.com. The links to those are in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm out.